Boy, that takes me back. Hey there, I'm Aaron, and this is another episode of the Screen Pupcast. This was supposed to be a mini-sode, which means that it was one of those episodes where we just focus on one thing, and we don't do news, don't do trailer talk, we just talk about that one thing. But we were having so much fun that we ended up going long, but, you know, hey, if you've paid attention in the past, our mini-sodes typically do go long. This one came out to be almost 3 hours, which is about the size of one of our regular episodes. But this episode, we are talking about Cartoon Network celebrating its 20th anniversary, which, you know, Cartoon Network in some way, shape, or form has touched every member of the Pupcast, so we were all glad to come on and share our thoughts on. This episode is divided into two different segments. The first segment was basically just as many members of the Pupcast as we could find who wanted to be on, all coming on and just laughing and goofing around and reminiscing. You know, just friendly little conversation talking about what we love about Cartoon Network. And then the second part, that's the more professional part. That part we get Michelle on, who is our big animation expert if you paid attention in the past. And we just go down a list of every show that Cartoon Network has ever had on that was its own original programming. And basically just talked about, you know, our thoughts on those, or, you know, giving a little bit of history on it. So, you can choose which one you want to listen to, or listen to them both. You know, I'll, once again, timestamp it down at the bottom so you know exactly where to go. So, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to keep this short. Something on this episode should be. And I hope you guys enjoy Cartoon Network's 20th anniversary as much as we did. Thanks.
This is, guys, if you want to throw down with spoilers, I could fuck up your year so bad. So
I don't care about spoilers. You can go right ahead.
Oh, I hate you with your knowledge of fucking film, caring about it.
Let's talk cartoons.
Some of us care about stories. Alright.
We've already started.
Yeah, we've already. I couldn't come up with an intro. This has nothing to do with Cartoon Network, but fuck it. Alright, hi everybody. This is another mini-sode, which means it'll be twice as long as our normal one.
Aaron, what's a cartoon?
A cartoon? Oh, and are you trying to do another movie film joke there?
No, I'm genuinely, what's a cartoon? Is there a difference between I can't think of another fucking word for cartoon.
Animated feature blank thing.
What's the difference between a cartoon and an animation?
The shows that show on Cartoon Network were never shown in a theater. They're not animated features. They're cartoons.
Yes.
Thank you.
Remember when cartoons used to be shown in movie theaters back before the movie came on?
I was not
because I was
alive during
alive
the 40s, so no.
But you guys
No,
don't know what
I know.
living is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to put on some music. I love that.
See, I went to see the Digimon movie. I saw that short beforehand with whatever the fuck it was, Angela Anaconda or something. Oh,
You could just.
oh,
Did you see Wreck-It Ralph? There's an amazing short before Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh, there is. I
have not
love that short before Wreck-It
was the
Ralph.
reason
Well, Wreck-It Ralph's not in the
Wow.
UK yet.
I should fucking introduce you guys, because I don't even understand who's here at this point. So, this is a mini-sode, as you can tell.
But a maxi
Total
cast.
lack of direction.
Agreed. Shush! In which we are going to talk about the 20th anniversary of Cartoon Network. And to join me today is quite a large cast, some of whom will not be joining us in the second part for numerous reasons. But, I'm Aaron.
I'm actually joking right now. I had a bit of coke inside my throat, and I actually think I'm going to die.
And those are the last words of Jackson.
Oh, I'm convinced one of us will die while doing this podcast
Whoa.
one day.
One of these
Interpret
days.
Coke
Go
how
on.
you will.
Hi.
I'm Aaron. That was Jackson, who almost died. We also have Matt here.
Pacific
We also
Rim.
have...
Hey Matt. Which specific room are you talking about?
The one in the Pacific. That specific Pacific Rim.
We also have Callum joining us. That was him. This is where it gets tricky.
I couldn't think of anything funny.
This is where it gets tricky because I knew this would happen one day. We've got Mike and Mike here with us.
Brains.
There's another Mike there.
I don't even know which mic that was.
I just want you to know it's raining outside. I blame this podcast.
Can I kill you? One of you just Mike and the other one Double Z. Because I think I've just called it.
So we're gonna call Mike Service Double Z? Like, that doesn't make any sense, Jackson. Why would we do that?
You know, if anything, if you want to call me anything, you could just say Sirius, because everybody fucks up my last name anyway.
We have to call Mike Mazzacane Mr. Maz. We have to call him Mazzacane because I can't pronounce your
last name. Just say Maz. That's what all
other Mike.
do.
I can't pronounce your last name. So Mazzacane I can pronounce. Mr. Maz I can.
I can totally pronounce it. It's Swarairu.
Mike Swareosaurus. I got it. It's fine.
All right.
I was a dinosaur in a past life.
Don't mention past lives. I just saw Cloud Atlas, so now I'm picturing like an entire deleted feature starring dinosaurs.
That would be amazing.
All right.
Well, the same
Tom
cast.
Hanks in all prosthetic
same
makeup to be a
cast, yeah.
Tyrannosaurus.
Or would it be a Hankosaurus?
I'm hankering to talk about Cartoon Network.
Segue.
I really am like the captain on the Titanic. I see the icebergs there, but I keep going full ahead.
Guys,
this
has gone.
Bail furiously.
It's gone on for 5 minutes. This is nuts.
This is.
All right.
Well, since when it's on podcast, never been listenable.
I know, but we have to do this again right afterwards. So.
This has gone segue overboard.
I didn't deserve that good of a laugh. Oh.
I don't know why you ever laugh at anything I say. They're always the worst jokes. They're not even jokes. Like,
it's because they're so bad. It takes like a second to hit us. Your jokes are like thunder. Like we see it, then it takes a moment to hear it. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, this year celebrates the 20th anniversary of Cartoon Network, and I wanted to do something special about it, because I feel like each of us, we each come from different coasts, from different time zones, different countries, at different age groups, but I feel like
You're from the 1940s.
Hey, Aaron, I don't live on a coast. I'm landlocked. I don't think that's very fair.
But I feel like each of us have, in some way, been kind of affected by Cartoon Network. Either it was there when we were growing up, either we, now just got into it. Some of us are still growing up and just getting involved in it. So I wanted each of us to kind of come on and just talk about. We're going to have a part 2, which is all dedicated to just the history of Cartoon Network. So let's get all the giggles out right now. Okay.
That's going to be the one where we all die.
It's gonna be like the end of Blackadder goes forth or something. Everything's fine, then just suddenly at the end we all die, and like it's just we're all
just one by one. Each of you start disappearing from the Skype window. The killer is inside the call. The Skype call is coming from inside the house. All right.
This is the plot for the Paranormal Activity 5.
I would watch a movie that's entirely a Skype call. I don't know. I think you could do something with that.
They did it in VHS.
Kind of okay.
I haven't seen VHS. Don't spoil that.
Don't watch VHS.
You were seeing all the movies, though.
You don't care about spoilers.
I care about that one.
You care.
That's the one. You found the one movie.
You care about the plot of a movie.
So, how about them
Found
cartoons?
footage anthology homage.
Okay.
Guys, let's get swearing.
I'm gonna die from laughter.
People listen to us.
People do listen to us. That's the weird thing. On the last episode, we got fan mail from someone who's not even on screen. They just found us on YouTube and got addicted to us.
What?
I forced my friend upon it by accident, and he had nothing better to do the weekend, so...
You said all your friends are bad.
He seems to think we're good. That's how he has bad taste.
Christ. Okay. So anyway, each of us kind of got involved in it. When did you guys kind of get to know Cartoon Network? First off, before I even say that, I just realized Jackson and Callum, in the UK, Cartoon Network is actually different. It doesn't show quite the same shows over here. Does it, what's Cartoon Network like over there now?
Well,
You'll have to ask Callum, because I've never had Cartoon Network. I've never.
Why are you here?
Then
why are you on this podcast?
I've seen some shows. They came home to like terrestrial television on Saturday morning stuff, but they never actually knew what the lineup was.
Good point. Yeah. Cartoon Network in the UK is a very mixed bag. Let's put it for essentially there's the period between me stopping watching cartoons and me getting back on was the period when Cartoon Network decided the only thing it ever wanted to show all day was Ben 10 and its various spin-offs.
To be fair, Cartoon Network started just showing Scooby-Doo, so I feel like they've gone back to their roots.
Yeah. Like, it's not as bad today. Like, there's actual genuine variety to it in that, but there's genuine variety. But there are oftentimes, but most of the day, where you can go onto Cartoon Network and then Cartoon Network 2 and just see Ben 10, various versions of Ben 10 on there. Which, if you don't happen to like Ben 10, is a bit of an annoyance. Like for me, for example.
Yeah, Ben 10. When the show originally came on, I was like, okay, it's kind of like one of those campy 80s cartoons. Like, alright, I get the charm of it. And then they decided, well, what if we make it serious? And it was like, so in other words, you're taking the show but taking the campy charm out of it, which is the only thing I found of interest in it.
That worked for Legend of Korra. Don't hate.
But that's the thing, is that Avatar was really good and really serious. It did not depend upon campy charm. And Legend of Korra still had some of that campy charm in there. I mean, Bolin was tons of campy charm in there.
Hey, guess what? We're talking about Nickelodeon shows now. Yes. How about that?
Hey, you just made a statement about...
No, it was totally me. It was totally me. I accept full responsibility for my actions.
I had to step up and defend both Avatar and Legend of Korra. So, but anyway, so what was it? Do you guys remember, like, when you got involved with Cartoon Network? Like, what was, like, the shows that really got you into it when you first got exposed to it?
Toonami? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I watched Cartoon Network pre-Toonami. Got it really early, so it must have been right when it started. They showed a bunch of old cartoons. They didn't really have original programming, so it was Scooby-Doo and Hanna-Barbera all day. And then when Nickelodeon would go to Nick at Night, Cartoon Network went to like old Popeye and old Looney Tunes and like 30s and 40s cartoons. So it was way cooler than anything.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah, Aaron's cartoon.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember in the beginning it really did not have any original programming, and then the earliest original programming I can remember was Dexter's Lab, but I remember that coming on CBS first.
Wait, no. What a cartoon show!
Oh, you're right. You're right, and that
because
was
all of the late '90s, early aughts slate comes out of What a Cartoon Show.
You're right. It did. It was What a Cartoon Show, which was just a bunch of little mini shorts that they used to show on there. And the weirdest fact about What a Cartoon Show is Family Guy came out of that.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was good.
Yeah, don't start this. Jackson, stop it. You don't even watch television.
What about the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, though?
Oh, is that on Cartoon Network? Because I remember that being TBS.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was. That was like late '90s because they had original Johnny Quest movies that premiered, and I remember those being kind of a big deal because even the reason I got into that was because of my dad because he watched that growing up as a kid.
Yeah. My dad was like, "Oh my God, this is awesome," and then he realized that it was kind of serious, and they changed things, so he didn't like it.
It was better.
The Medusa episode of The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, though, still really scary.
The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest is a fraction of the racism of the original Johnny Quest. Thus making it better.
Let me just make sure that I remember it. Real Adventures of Johnny Quest was the one where they had like virtual reality machines that they went into.
Yeah, Quest World.
Yeah, and it was really early CGI. It was like at that point in time when networks all of a sudden went, oh my gosh, it's so much cheaper to use CGI than it is to use actual hand-drawn animation. And they didn't stop to think that, we're still like maybe 5 years away from it actually looking decent. So
I didn't care. I was of the age where that show appealed to me greatly.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Yeah, I remember that, and I remember also Dexter's Lab kind of being both TBS and Cartoon Network at, like, the same time, and then eventually, like, I guess Cartoon Network won out in the end or something, but...
That's really weird.
Yeah, that was really weird. Like, I even remember Dexter's Lab before Cartoon Network, but they're both, I think, owned by Warner, aren't they? Well, no, wait, they're not...
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways. But yeah, that kind of leads me into, like, Dexter's Lab. That was one of the first ones that really got me into it. Because...
Yeah, are we just going to talk about the whole slate? Like, we should all group them together. I feel like they're all
I was going to
tight.
say, it was like a whole group. It was Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken. Yeah, Cow and Chicken was at the same time.
And Powerpuff Girls.
That was the other one.
Yes.
Samurai Jack came a little bit later.
Samurai Jack was a little later, along the same time as, what was I going to say?
One was Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Oh, God, I love that.
99 to...
Courage was a little later, as was Ed, Ed, and Eddie. They were all,
That
like,
was
second
about
wave.
the same time. Yeah, it was like Cartoon Network shows do come in waves, kind of. Which, yeah, it was Courage the Cowardly Dog, Ed, Ed, and Eddie, and was Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy around the same time, too?
That was like
Yeah, 'cause it was Grim
second
and
or
Evil.
third wave, even.
Yeah, I can't
Like,
remember
that
if it
was a
was
lot
the
later.
second wave or the third one.
Yeah, like they do seem to like come away. Like you'll have this dry spell of like very little new or interesting, and then just suddenly 5 shows come tumbling over you at once.
Which, man, talking about that first wave, I love Johnny Bravo. I talked about
Johnny Bravo and Powerpuff Girls are the winners of that wave, as far as I'm concerned.
I really don't think that there were any losers. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of
Cow and Chicken is the loser. If you're going to rank them, that's the loser.
If you're going to rank them, Cow and Chicken is definitely at the bottom. But like, I mean, just going by like animation, I think that show still had a lot going for it.
Except everything it took that was good was straight out of Ren and Stimpy.
That it was very Ren and Stimpy-ish, yeah. Which the weird thing is that we do say that is the loser, and yet it was the one that got a spin-off show.
Yeah,
I Am Weasel.
I Am Weasel.
Well,
Which I like more than...
let's talk about bad decisions Cartoon Network makes. I didn't like I Am Weasel.
Boo, you good
No.
sir.
What about Two Stupid Dogs? Or was
Two
that
Stupid
original?
Dogs was a Canadian show that they just imported in.
Oh.
Which I love Two Stupid Dogs.
And we don't.
I
talk
feel like
about
I feel
Canada
like
here.
shows that were primarily on Cartoon Network count in this discussion.
Oh, yeah, any show that came
Because
on Cartoon
we're eventually
Network.
gonna talk about Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. At least I'm going to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
I was going to say, in which case then be warned, because Cartoon Network UK also imports a lot of stuff from Teletoon and...
Oh, yeah, Cartoon Network imports a lot of stuff from Teletoon at the moment as well, but it's,
Yeah, which is why whenever it's not Ben 10 on the schedule, it's Johnny Test.
I don't watch.
Is that where 16 came from?
16. Oh, yes, yeah, that's where that came from.
I've watched that on Netflix. It's actually kind of
It is,
interesting.
it's charming. It's like a fun little thing, yeah. Let's see, what were you about to say? But
We're on
Cow and Chicken and I Am Weasel. Yeah, I'll admit I kind of like I Am Weasel more than Cow and Chicken, but both those were not my cup of tea.
Looking back at Cow and Chicken now when it's rerun really late at night, it is.
It is! I mean, the devil is the villain in that.
And he is the campiest, most closeted homosexual devil in the
Oh,
Have you watched Powerpuff Girls?
Oh, here, okay. Okay, the devil in Cow and
Hey,
Chicken...
my full season box.
Okay, the devil in Cow and Chicken is campy and weird and goofy. Him is legitimately scary when you're a kid. I was legitimately freaked out by him. Maybe it was just me.
He had lobster
I'm
hands.
prepared to be legitimately freaked out again. It's just like the way they everything starts cool and fine, and then of course just suddenly snaps to the dark evil place and that, which works terrifyingly well as a child. Probably even might do well today.
I don't know, yeah. I don't know if you could get away with him these days, just because, I mean, it might, like, his appearance might be...
You couldn't get away with a lot of the stuff they did back then.
The fact that we're talking about back then in reference to Powerpuff Girls makes me feel achingly old.
Yeah. Well. Did anyone... I went in today, in preparation for this, I watched Best But Not Beast episode of Dexter's Lab, which was when they made fun of Voltron and Power Rangers and Kaiju.
That's a great episode.
Was that the one where Dexter went to Japan as a foreign exchange student?
Yes, and unleashed an axe head monster.
I love that one. That one was so good. And I remember at the end of it when his family learns about his lab and everything, I was like, oh my god, this will change everything. And then he wipes their memory clean. I was like,
that is one of the... That's one of the 3 defining episodes of that show.
I agree with you.
Because I think there are only 3.
What are the other 2?
There's that one. There's the opera, and there's the movie.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, if you're counting the movie as an episode, then yeah.
I'm going to count the movie because
I agree
it's like
with you.
3 episodes. They
Wait,
show it as
made-
3
they made a
episodes.
movie?
They also
it was,
show it as episodes. It's where Dexter goes into the future and meets like his teenage self, his adult self, and his old man self, and you see Mandark through the ages too.
Oh, it's
I need
excellent.
to
It is
see
quite
this.
excellent.
Remember that? I remember that. Like I haven't watched it in ages, and that, but I remember it from when I first watched it. But I think it was a bit.
It's really dark.
Yeah, like I almost felt like
Yeah, I
that
think
came
that might
out
have been
before
it.
Samurai Jack, and I get the feeling like Gendy Tartakovsky came to them and said, "I want to do something more serious and a little bit dark," and they said, "Well, you got to prove to us you can." So I'll prove you I can, and
That whole movie is predicated on Dee Dee dying right at the beginning. It's awful.
You're right. I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
that might be why. That might be why like it didn't click for my younger self, because it did go ridiculously dark as far as I can remember. And at the time, I imagine that would just turn me right off. Because when I was younger, I thought the third Harry Potter movie wasn't particularly good because it went dark. I was a little bit stupid back then.
When
Yeah.
you're a kid, you're allowed to be a little bit stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, a little bit.
I look back at the me of 3 years ago and just want to slap myself.
I always
You
wanted
should
to-
always look back at the you 3 years ago and want to slap yourself. That means you're progressing and moving forward as a human being.
Unlike characters in cartoons.
Yeah, which I mean, I'm glad that.
Some cartoons.
Yeah, which what? Does anyone know? God, I wish Michelle was there for this because she would know this answer. Does anyone know why it was exactly that? Like, it looked like Dexter's Lab got canceled, then it came back, but with a totally different style. Anybody remember that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Gendy had left, and I think it was on the strength of reruns. They brought it back for 2 years, and they completely
Yeah.
changed it. If I remember, like not just the style, but also the humor.
I was not
I
watching.
remember it being significantly.
I was not
worse.
watching Cartoon Network when that happened, so I didn't know that this happened.
Yeah, I remember it being
It
significantly
was
worse.
It was a lot worse. That-
What did it look like? I have to find
Yeah, I
pictures.
don't-
Oh yeah, you
I
gotta
don't
find the pictures because
remember
yeah, it
any of
looks
this.
totally different. Which I mean, like the style and everything, like it looks empty. Like there was just tons of blank space, just all around, just with like colors. Like it was that weird kind of like art style where like the floor would merge into the wall in the
I
background.
feel like the original show had a lot of
Oh,
that though,
seasons 3 and 4.
because they were all based off of like 60s, 70s animation styles.
yeah, but this was like super 60s and 70s style. This was like they went way too far with it and then got lazy too. It seems almost. It almost looks like somebody was trying to use
Then the episodes
flash animation
themselves.
for the first time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the actual episodes themselves were not particularly good at all. It did
Yeah,
feel
and
like
it
a
almost
catch-
felt like they were trying to
okay.
be artistic with it on some level and failing miserably. Like, I mean, there was an episode dedicated entirely to Mandark in which his only line of dialogue was him laughing, and that was the dialogue throughout the entire episode, and it just wasn't good. But, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that they tried to do when they brought it back.
But that was also when the new bad stuff is also when they did the Speed Racer parody.
Was it?
I'm looking at episode titles now, and there's one's called Dexter's Wacky Races, in which
I think that was when it was
Oh.
still good. I think.
I like that Speed Racer parody episode. So
Yeah, I think that was when it was still good.
Yeah.
Imagine if I remember there was like 1 or 2 good episodes, but a lot.
Honestly,
of
I think that's
bad.
back when the show was still good. Like, I don't think that was it. In fact, I think the show might even have had like a different name or something when it came back. I don't even know if it was still.
It was still called.
It was still called Dexter's Lab. All right.
Yeah.
I wish they had done a spin-off of the Super Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Or what were they
Oh,
called? Yeah.
not super best friends, but
Dial M for Monkey. No. Hang on.
no, I like Dial In for Monkey too. I like that one, but no, it was.
Remember that episode which Randy Savage came and wrestled
I love
with?
that. That's my favorite Dial In for Monkey.
I was looking back at this. Why wasn't there any more like WCW crossover between Cartoon Network and WCW, since they were owned by the same company?
because WCW was about to go belly up.
Well, that too, but come on. That, like, NWO invades Cartoon Network. I would have ate that shit up.
Wait, but which period NWO, Mike?
Only the first run. Like,
There we
Yeah,
go.
you gotta go to the classics, so that's when everybody had like a personality and such.
Yeah, instead of just being like. Ugh. Oh, here we go.
I love when people get pretentious about wrestling.
Well, Jackson, you've known me for a long enough time.
The beards.
The beards. But yeah, what were those? They weren't super best friends. It was like, but yeah, it was basically like a Captain America ripoff, a Thor ripoff, and a Hulk ripoff. Back when no one even really knew who some of those characters were, at least Thor. But like, they took those characters, made parodies of them, and had them all living in an apartment together. And I remember just...
So it's like the real world.
It was like the real world, but I mean, no, it was like a sitcom, is what it was. It was meant to basically be a sitcom. Like, they even had a laugh track in there. And it was like...
The Justice Friends.
Justice Friends, that was it. But yeah, and I remember just cracking up at that because of just the creativity that went into every single episode of it.
I just found out that one of the Thor parody was called Valhalla.
Yes, that was it. And he was like, like an 80s
amazing.
metal rocker.
Genius!
Oh man, that makes me jealous. Oh, that's so good.
Oh, they were so good. Let's see. But yeah, moving on from Dexter's Lab, we talked a little bit about Powerpuff Girls in there.
Which also featured Genndy Tartakovsky as executive producer.
It did, and you can kind of tell a lot from the style of it. Let's see. Oh God, what's her name? Lauren Faust, also the lady in charge of My Little Ponies at the moment, was the one who also...
And Craig McCracken.
And Craig McCracken. They worked on, and you could really get a sense of all three of their styles coming together on that.
That show was just amazing to look at.
That was the first time that I ever remember, because I was in high school when that came out, and back then it was not... The geek culture was not in at the moment. And that was during the time in which if you were a high schooler who watched cartoons, you were lame. And yet, so many of, the cool girls at my school loved the hell out of Powerpuff Girls.
It's not... That's the thing is that everything about it seems like it's for little girls, and it is not at all.
No.
All good things.
For Christ's sake.
Good things are for people, not for specific groups of people.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, there's blood in the opening credits, for Christ's sake.
Oh no,
It's
blood.
coming back in 2013?
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. From all I can tell, that image came out of Tumblr, and there's no source and no announcement.
Genndy on a Reddit AMA for Hotel Transylvania said that apparently they are planning on rebooting it, although nobody from the original series is actually getting involved.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Has anyone seen the awful Powerpuff Girls anime that Japan had? Rebooting it might not be a good idea. It might not be something you want, because that anime was bad.
Well, I don't think they're going to just...
want more Powerpuff Girls.
Well, I don't think they're rebooting the anime. I think it's going to be...
I know.
The American.
I'm just saying, reconceptualizing Powerpuff Girls is not inherently a good thing.
Oh, I don't.
It doesn't.
That's the thing, is that I don't think that they should reimagine it in any way, shape, and form. I think it should just basically be a continuation of the series, because I did not understand why that show got canceled just out of nowhere. That was one of those shows that Cartoon Network loved to do this at this point in time in their history, in which they would take shows that had been milestones for them, put them on the map, and they would be like, so where's the final episode of this? Oh, no, it just kind of did.
For anyone who is watching Young Justice, which is an amazing show, they're still doing that bullshit. It has not changed.
Yeah,
I think I've two...
I'm giving you an air high five, man.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. That is... that is bullshit what they pulled.
Yeah, I have two possible reasons as to why Powerpuff Girls got cancelled. What year's the movie released, for one thing?
It was
2002.
I feel like the show was already over though when that movie came out.
No, it actually continued a little bit after that. Cause
okay.
I remember a couple
canceled?
episodes after that.
I saw that movie opening weekend and there was nobody there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went.
Answers.
I
is
saw
also my
like
second
two
reason-
instead of that.
Yeah, my second reason probably weren't they starting to move into that whole CN, planning CN Real by that point, so I think they just started, cutting shows left, right, and center.
No, that was a little bit later when they started doing the C and Real thing. But yeah, that was a time in which the C and Real thing, when they started doing the reality show bullshit, that was a time in which, that was right around when the economy was really starting to tank, and then all of a sudden they went, you know what, cartoons are kind of expensive, so they just basically...
You know what the kids want? They want a Mythbusters rip-off.
No, they didn't care that the kids wanted that. What they cared about was, how much do we have to pay the people on the Mythbusters ripoff? That little, huh?
Nothing.
Really?
Okay, then.
That was what it was.
Has anyone watched Level Up? Is that what it's called?
Level Up? No, I haven't watched that, no.
I'm kind of interested, because it looks like The Guild, but not witty or internet funny, but also mixed with WoW.
They're
Well,
what?
that's a very specific term.
They're making. Hold on. They're making a live-action show about MMOs on Cartoon Network.
It's already come out. It's basically the creatures from MMOs start coming to life in the real world, and kids have to stop it.
That's dumb.
Video
That
games,
sounds like
man.
That sounds like an even worse version of the Boom Crew.
I can imagine like the jokes about like, oh, do the first 22 episodes start with them having to do fetch quests, because that would be hilarious. Or other such hilarious MMO
Stop
anachronisms.
giving them ideas, Jackson.
MMOs
That
are
would've been-
dumb.
That would have been interesting, though.
If they had actually gone into like really gone hard on the MMO thing, that could be cool. But rather than just doing, yo, there's people, they fight monsters, they're in school. Word.
Whoa, crazy concept.
Well, should we probably move on to
Just quickly before we do about like quick opinions. Powerpuff Girls end theme, great theme or best theme?
It's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Christian Bale, I only know he has sung that one, so it is probably the best.
That's true.
When did he sing it? I'm not familiar
Wait,
with
Callum,
it.
you're saying best
1865.
theme now, and we haven't even gotten to Hi Puff Yami Yumi yet. Who are
Oh,
you?
God, yes.
Where's real Callum?
I know. I don't. I killed him and I'm an imposter.
Hi Puffy Yami
yeah.
Yumi. Damn, that was buried in my memory. I forgot about that one.
Well, when we get to it, me and Matt are more than happy to drag it out for you.
All right. Well, let's go into.
Oh my God.
Let's move away from.
I've never heard of this. Hey, it's the voice of Azula.
Yes, it's.
Sorry, I'm
I
like
just dropped
Wikipediaing all this
35
at the
quid
same
on the complete series from Time.
Dude, don't look up Tara Strong and start saying, "Hey, it's the voice of," because we will be here
Yeah,
all
you'll
day.
be here all day.
All right.
Well, I know she does.
She does everything.
She's crazy on Twitter.
But yes, anyway, let's move into. I know a lot of you guys want to talk about this. Let's move into Toonami. I thought that would get a reaction, but all right.
Woo!
Is Mike still there? 'Cause I know he
Jimmy-
wanted to come specifically to talk about that.
Remember when Toonami would show
You're there.
like half of a show
here.
and then not show the end seasons? That was great.
What?
Do we mean American Toonami or British Toonami?
American
British Toonami
Its own
was.
channel, and
Yeah.
it's pretty much
No, I'm talking about Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and even Reboot. When they started showing Reboot, didn't show the last bits of Reboot for ages.
Ooh.
Well, they didn't start.
That came across as sarcastic.
Well,
It
they
wasn't
didn't
meant
start
to be,
showing the
genuinely.
last bits of. I don't know about Reboot. Why they didn't just start showing the last bits of that? That's weird. But for like Dragon Ball and Sailor Moon, I know they didn't start showing the last bits of it because they didn't exist. Like with Dragon Ball, the studio that owned it, they owned it to a point, and then I think it was Funimation because it was so badly edited, it had to be. But they showed it up to a point, and then Funimation just ran out of episodes and was like, well, we can't just show the Japanese stuff with like subtitles or stuff. We can't do that.
Yes, you can.
It would
That
have
would've
been
been
awesome,
better.
especially given what they did to poor Sailor Moon, which is still a great show. That one's coming back next year too. Very excited.
They're making. Wait, what? They're making a new Sailor
Yeah.
Moon.
Yeah, they're gonna readapt the manga more faithfully because that show has very little to do with the actual manga.
Are the 90s genuinely just coming back now?
Callum, maybe
Yeah.
you were too young when the 80s came back, but this is what happens to culture.
Yeah, dude, I got news for you.
We just go around reboot.
Dude, I got news for you. The 80s are still in the process of being back. Did you see Anne Hathaway on the cover of Glamour this week? She might as well just be decked out in full-on
I don't
80s gear.
I don't think
What
I don't
kind
think
of a fucking question
I
is
don't
that?
think
Did
we
you
should
see-
talk about news.
Who reads magazines?
I don't think we
I
should
don't
talk
read
about
them by
news
fan-
and
by
Anne
fan
Hathaway
lines at
and
supermarkets,
in
so-
this week.
But I don't know.
think
I
that's
just
a
remember
really bad
I
idea.
don't go shopping.
You don't go shopping and don't like putting on
How
clothes.
do you...
So let's talk about Johnny Bravo. That's a
How do you
great show,
exist?
right?
Yeah, sorry. Anyway, so I was just at the grocery store and I saw that magazine cover and went, that is the most 80s fucking outfit I have ever seen, and someone thinks that looks
Why are
good,
you still
and
talking about
it's driving
this?
me nuts.
Why
Anyway,
are you still talking about this?
the 80s are still back. I'm staying.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yes. Oh, you just looked it up?
Don't indulge him. This is a mini episode, Jackson. A mini episode.
Anywho.
We're being extremely on topic.
But yeah, I fuck.
No, I know, but
anyway, yeah. I
she's
just-
got headphones and a vest and her hair's all it's crazy how he is so right.
Yes.
Okay,
All
carry
right.
on.
Thank you. Sorry, that was eating me up. Anywho, You were saying about Johnny Bravo. I fucking love Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo, and also, once again,
doesn't love
Seth
Johnny
MacFarlane started off on
Johnny
that show.
Bravo is weird because I feel like that's the one that just completely got lost for like a decade and a half. Because all the other ones became really famous, and that's the one nobody seems to remember.
That's the one that
except for
that's the one that had a strong fan following. But I think it was that when that kid audience suddenly like hit a certain age, it was like a timer going off. Just, oh my god, I suddenly get everything in that show. It was like it just suddenly came to them. That's why I think it like now is kind of coming back.
It also got cancelled and then came back like 3 years after it had been cancelled.
Yeah, which that was one of those ones. Unlike Dexter's Lab, when they brought it back, it had a new animation style and had like new supporting characters. And I kind of like the new animation style and the new supporting
I'd say it was
characters.
rather good.
all these shows,
show was rather good.
all these shows came back after I was watching Cartoon Network, so I guess I never saw them when they came back.
There we go. It's your fault.
Yeah, I went through a big phase. I just didn't watch TV for like a decade, so that's what happened.
Yeah, we figured that out. But yeah. Anyway,
Do you remember how like Susie is actually Anne from Arrested Development?
really?
Little Susie's Mae Whitman.
Man, she has been acting since she was forever ago. Damn. All right.
Yeah, so I've been waiting forever to just use that little bit of trivia to somebody who give a shit.
That's pretty cool
And
trivia,
now-
and I give a shit. That's pretty cool.
There we go.
All right. But yeah, we were talking about Toonami. Any of you guys want to talk about, like, you know, Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon? Those were the ones that really, like, kind of, like, put it on the map. But, like, it kept sticking around for a while. In fact, they've even brought it back as the new Adult Swim on Saturday night. Uncut.
Wait, are you saying Toonami in the US was the anime channel?
It was the anime
anime.
block.
It was the anime
Yeah.
block. It wasn't a channel yet.
It was the
I don't. Oh, man,
What's it in the UK? I don't know this. What's it in the UK?
Toonami
It's
in the UK was Cartoon Network 2, but had a couple more comic book shows than anything
Yeah.
else.
Oh.
There was no anime on there.
Toonami in the UK was just they have Teen Titans. That was basically
No,
Toonami.
it was Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z, and then it was like Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop. And
No, it wasn't. Cowboy Bebop was on Adult Swim. That didn't come on the regular.
was it? Oh, that's right. Adult Swim used to show shows that
Yeah.
were terrible.
We'll get to Adult Swim, but Gundam Wing.
Gundam
in
Wing
fact-
was
in
also
fact, in a
on.
weird
That
way,
was
Toonami actually created Adult Swim because I remember
Yes,
that
that's right.
it used to come on at midnight as well. And
No,
show
it was called Midnight Sun.
Midnight Sun. You're right, and it used to show uncut episodes of
Right.
Gundam Wing. And I remember like staying up to see that shit. That was like the first uncut anime I ever saw.
Man, Cartoon Network used to be really cool.
Cartoon Network still does some really cool shit though, which we'll get
I remember looking at the uncut stuff. Like maybe I'll see some boobs.
Midnight Sun's a way cooler name than Adult Swim ever was, or ever will be.
Are you saying that Cartoon Network was the Midnight Channel? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah.
Cartoon Network was Babe Station.
We have to save Toonami or else it's going to die by the next time it rains. Oh.
Guys, I saw a Gundam in the TV. We have to go inside the TV and fight the Gundams.
That'd be so cool.
There are Gundams in Persona. Anyway,
I will play Persona! Give me time, damn it!
Calm down.
Callum, we're all friends here. Here to help.
Callum, none
Has
of us...
anyone... Oh.
I
Has
was- I
anyone
had
watched
nothing
like
to
the
say.
Mike, go ahead. You
Go
speak.
Jackson?
Mike, yeah.
Is any okay? The like original Japanese dub of Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Has anyone watched that?
All 200 episodes twice. I'm way into Sailor Moon.
Okay, is it like any good? Because I go and everyone knows about Toonami Aftermath, right?
No, I'm not aware of this.
no.
Okay,
Inform
it's
us of it
here.
anyway.
I'm just gonna send y'all a link then.
Well, this is a podcast that an audience is
Plays
going to
out
listen
well
to.
with podcast.
I'll post a comment. Okay?
No,
Just
you should
anyway.
sum it up so we can continue to talk.
Okay,
Drop
it's
some fucking knowledge.
Okay, it's essentially remember good Toonami of great '90s action cartoons, like late '90s, early
Oh,
aughts.
this was
Toonami.
the thing in which like it was like a fan project to try and start their own Toonami, right?
Yeah, and they're just 24/7. They have their own schedule, and I just go there and watch it every now and again.
Okay,
And
Didn't they put Gurren Lagann on the Toonami Aftermath?
that, I don't know.
Okay.
let me give you the quick rundown of the Sailor Moon anime real style. It is still really fun. It is still a show that's primarily targeted at teenage girls. It's 200 episodes, which is a lot of episodes of anything to watch, but it goes really cool places. I would say maybe read the manga if you're a manga person because it's only 13 volumes and that's way easier. But yeah, that show's really good in terms of like magical girl anime or battle anime, though maybe you should just watch Magical Magi Puella Magica because it's a way better magical anime.
Hearing Matt talk about loving Sailor Moon for so long made me realize that bronies have always been around. They've just had different terms.
No,
for them.
I will not. I am
kidding,
not.
I'm kidding.
You want my rant about bronies? Because we can do that.
No.
I bet there's
This
boys.
podcast is going too long as it is.
No, seriously. I bet there are boys who watch My Little Pony and enjoy it, who would get really fucking pissed off with bronies and what they have
Bronies
done
are awful.
fans.
They're the worst
bronies
people.
are terrible human beings.
And that's not because they are
Exactly, and that is not
I seem
because
to
that they are
miss
people
this.
who watch My Little Ponies. It's because they are people who watch My Little Pony, then get on the internet and rant about how they hate people that don't watch it. And they do it with other people who feel the same, and it kind of just snowballs until they become their own weird subculture.
More importantly,
So it's the newsroom of anime.
No, it's the
more important.
no, it's the Tea Party of anime. It's
More
people
importantly,
just-
more importantly, and more the most terrible thing is that they think that their appreciation of that show is more important than the audience it's targeted to.
yes, exactly.
That is a great show for children. Straight.
Oh
Period.
yeah, exactly. My Little Pony is actually a fantastic show for little kids. Or if you're a grown person who just really likes cute stuff, you enjoy it. You go
Yeah.
have fun.
And that is on the level I enjoy that show.
Back on the Sailor Moon
Yep.
tip, was anyone else when they were originally watching just like, no, the two Sailor Scouts?
No,
were
they
kind of
aren't
like
cousins at
lesbians?
all.
I was just like,
I had the internet at that
totally
point, like
gay.
freshly getting the internet, and yeah,
Yeah, I was just kind of like, dude, they're totally living together.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I can't be the only one who sees this.
One of them has huge shoulder pads. It's the 90s.
That's the 80s. Shoulder pads.
Shoulder.
Okay,
shoulder
Japan. Early 90s Japan looks like 80s everywhere else.
Well, yeah, but also
Dude,
shoulder.
I love
Japan's
early
always
90s
about
Japan
decade,
shoulder pads.
Well, also shoulder
They're
pads
amazing.
on women in the 80s was everyone. Shoulder pads on women in the 90s was lesbians. So,
We're crossing a couple of uncomfortable lines
I
here.
feel like you're going to offend people with things like
generalization.
that.
I'm joking. Anyway, I said that like it made it all better, but
I don't think there's anything wrong with
Yeah,
what you
it's funny.
said.
That woman got raped by like 10 men right now.
what?
Mike,
New Mike is just like, oh my god, what have I gotten myself
Mike,
into?
watch the first season of Sailor Moon. If you don't like it, it's not going to be any different.
Right. I love that show when I was a kid, by the way, and I was so like embarrassed about it because I knew it was like
The
most
dub is terrible.
What was that?
The dub is terrible. I actually will stump for dubs in a lot of instances, but the dub of that show is bad.
I love that dub because it is so bad. It's so, like, if you think about bad 90s anime, that is the
I know. I
dub.
kind of like it on that sense. Like I don't think it's good at all, but it's like I get the camp-
There were actual good 90s dubs, though, and so it's tragic.
There are good a lot of things that people really like bad qualities of the rest of the things.
Yes.
Though. That happens in many cultures. People love the qualities of what makes a lot of things terrible later looking back because they're kind of endearing.
Like Battleship, Jackson?
Well, shush. We're gonna get to that later. Anyway,
Nobody told me about the anime on this cartoon discussion.
anime is cartoon, but it's about Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network had an entire block dedicated to anime, and it helped build it at some point in time in its history.
And also, I don't like the whole distinction between anime and cartoon being completely separate things. They're made in different countries, yeah, but they're still. I think it's great that we have on kids shows. You have, I know they're dubbed, but you have what doesn't happen in cinema ever of American-made shows and Japanese-made shows being shown on the same screen.
I
and you
agree
should try to
100%.
differentiate that.
Definitely.
Why do we try to categorize between the two when it's the only place where there's some kind of mix of these media?
Because Western civilization says that cartoons are for kids thing, and the people who like anime don't want to pretend that their thing is for kids because they want to feel self-important.
Because old kiddies need blood, tits, and violence.
Speaking of weird anime crossovers, Code Lyoko.
What was the appeal?
That
of
was on
show?
Toonami, wasn't it? Or was that Adult
No,
Swim?
that was
No, it was
that
the
was
thing on
Megoozy.
post
Yeah,
Toonami.
when
Okay.
That's what
Toonami
it was
went off,
called.
they tried to make a kidified version of Toonami called Megoozy, which failed terribly.
What was on it other than Code Lyoko?
Kolyoko, and then, geez, I don't even remember the other ones, but I remember towards the end of its life, it got what was my personal favorite Toonami show of all time, Megas XLR, on there. which, sadly, that's another one of those shows that, it was here and gone.
Your favorite Cartoon Network show of all time, really?
No, it's my favorite Toonami show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, not my favorite Cartoon Network show of all time, but my favorite Toonami show.
We still haven't gotten to my favorite Cartoon Network show of all time, so...
We will get to it.
You don't even know what it is.
Oh, I can hope.
No, it won't be what you think it is, I don't think.
I don't know.
Now that Callum's turned into a
You're
game.
going to yourself as a Da Boom Crew fan, aren't you, Matthew?
No, I've never watched that.
Da Boom Crew.
I will drop you
It was
from
a
this
short-
call so fast. Naz, go ahead. What were you about to say about Kolyoko?
Oh, I was just going to say, one, it's coming back eventually as some sort of weird live-action anime hybrid show. And secondly, that was one of the shows that I loved watching when I was at my grandparents' house because they're the family that had cable.
It was French, wasn't it?
And the N64.
Was that a French show?
Yeah,
French.
it was French. Yeah.
Oh, croissant. That was my terrible attempt at a French accent there.
No, it wasn't. That was racism.
But yeah,
we've been sexist,
Toonami
we've been
kind of leads us
racist,
into Adult Swim. If anybody wants to go ahead and talk about that. Anybody have a favorite Adult Swim
I will
program?
go ahead and talk about that.
Boondocks.
I will defend
Boondocks is pretty brilliant.
I feel like the
never
Boondocks is the
watched
only right answer. I am actively I have stumped time and again for not liking most of everything Adult Swim does. So
Does or has done? Like
has done
throughout its history. Oh,
I don't like bad clip art animation. Like I just
Allow me
don't.
to list off 3 reasons
I don't care how
why.
ironic and hip you are going to be. It's not fun.
yeah, I do not understand when Adult Swim went from being the hey, we can make cartoons for adults with adult humor
Is it
to being
Newgrounds?
the hipster block on Cartoon Network. Because that's all it is. It's just the ironic, oh, it's bad for a reason, so you don't understand it. It became the hipster block.
I blame Tim and Eric.
So that's why, oh god, who's the guy who created Community?
Dan
Yeah.
Harmon.
Dan Harmon.
Yeah, so that's why Dan Harmon started there.
Are you going to slag Community? Because I can get off this call right now.
No,
I will come
no,
over and
I'm
beat
just
your
drawing.
ass.
I'm drawing a comparison here. I'm just like, oh, that's what
You might
Dan
wanna
Harmon
you
came
might wanna
out
choose
of.
your next words
Community
very
makes more
carefully.
sense. I love Community.
Good, there we go.
Well, actually, when talking about making things that are deliberately bad in a way, it's a very thin line. If you make something that's deliberately bad in order to hark back to things that weren't deliberately bad, you are walking up a very, very slippery slope, which a lot of Adult Swim sounds like it's on the wrong side of that
They
slope.
planted that flag early with Space Ghost. They were going to repurpose 70s animation, add a bunch of jokes into it, and make cheap shows that appealed to an older audience. And that's what they've been doing ever since.
I would like to call. You want to say that Adult Swim's done anything good? Robot Chicken seasons 1 to 3, Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, Frisky Dingo.
I'll admit that it's a personal taste thing. I just don't enjoy most of these shows. Frisky Dingo's alright. The one exception, I like Space Jail a whole lot. Or not Space Jail. Super Jail, yes.
Yeah, I hated that show in its first season and caught the second season. Loved the hell out of it. I don't know what happened to me. But yeah, that's.
It might just have gotten.
I don't think so.
Like
I think it's still very
watchable
much similar to how it was in the first season. I mean, the animation got better. I can tell that in the second season, but that typically always happens. But I think it's just like it took that long for the sense of humor of that show to finally hit me.
It's like Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law didn't start becoming like good until
Harvey Birdman almost fell.
two-part finale.
Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law
Until
was one of those
two-part
shows that they made and then just went, well, we did, and then just chucked it into the into their evidence locker. And then at the end they went, oh fuck, we have no more ideas. Bring back that Harvey Birdman thing. And when they brought it back, it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, I don't think it got truly good amount until the two-part first season finale. But after that, then it knew what show it wanted to be. It had decent character, and then it actually started being able to tell the good jokes instead of just, hey, we're being wacky and random. Hey.
Also worth knowing on that show, Stephen Colbert played 2 characters.
You wanted to see me?
Yeah, I need your help.
Really?
On my way to work, I hit a guy.
Oh, that doesn't seem so bad.
Every day this week.
Oh. Any witnesses?
Some kids.
Nobody believes kids.
And a nun.
Nobody believes nuns.
Someone suing Phil Kensebin.
Damn it. I'll take the case.
And if we lose, it's you and me, Birdman, against the world.
Yes.
2 heavily armed men in a bunker fighting extradition.
Oh.
and he's on the director commentary for the first season and is hilarious on it.
Yes.
But anyway,
Dangly parts.
yeah, his boss is one of my
hardly
favorite
ever
bosses.
awake.
So
Yes.
Yeah, I'm hardly ever awake for Adult Swim proper, so I just end up recording stuff now. I like sleep. What can I say?
That's a fine,
Who doesn't?
that is a fine choice if you have to choose between Adult Swim and sleep.
I'm beginning to think that Maz is just a bear that got onto a keyboard. He likes sleeping a lot, does not like wearing clothes, and is not allowed at the supermarket. I think that I'm starting to form the image in my head now.
And sometimes he roars about community and everyone panics.
What do you say about community?
Oh,
Calm
God.
down, Callum.
Okay,
Oh, no, I'm just thinking about Kuma Bear.
I don't know if Michelle's gonna do a title card for this episode, but if she does, I'm going to insist that she just grab Kuma Bear and drag him in there in the corner. All right,
Put like a name tag on there.
saying Matt. Oh shit. All right, well, let's go into. We're starting to run a little bit long on this, so let's head into the more recent stuff on Cartoon Network. Anybody have this? They are doing a lot less actual cartoons on Cartoon Network. But I feel like they've got a much higher success ratio with the stuff that they have on now. Because, like, Adventure Time, regular show, what was the,
Gumball.
Amazing World of Gumball, like, each of those, I think, are pretty freaking brilliant. Where,
The two DC shows they have,
yeah.
Green Lantern and Young Justice, are both great.
Yeah,
Which means they have to
don't
screw
have
them
DC
over as hard as
shows, come
possible,
on.
obviously.
yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that, because, I've been saying this for the longest time. I was going to finally talk about, that on the show.
Hang on, I'll get myself some popcorn.
We're recording this. All right. Anyway, the DC Nation block, which I really enjoy. Most of the shorts, some of them I think are kind of dumb, like the thing with the kids as Clay Batman talking. I don't get the humor behind that, but that's just me. Yeah, it's so weird. But I mean, a lot of them that they do on there are really cool. And the Green Lantern one, hey, I've said it numerous times. I am a huge Green Lantern fan, and that character needed some kind of saving after that fucking movie that came out. And this cartoon that they did, it was really good. And like a weird sci-fi,
It is the best Star Trek or Star Wars animated series that there
Thank you. I was just about to say, when I started watching that show, I was like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. This is just kind of them going planet to planet. It's almost like an old Star Trek. Oh my god, that's what they're trying to do. This is Star Trek with power rings, is what it is.
See, when I was growing up at around that age, like when I was 7 or whatever, I just watched Next Generation.
Sure,
because
but it's a little more space opera than Star Trek ever was. But there's just this great sense of fun, and the scope is huge in that show.
It is.
It's
really
really
is.
impressive.
And it's also another one of those shows that this is what I love so much about both that and Young Justice. It's one of those shows that gets better as it goes because it just rolls along. The plot slowly builds up, and eventually you start seeing things come together. Like, I wasn't really kind of digging it in the beginning, like I said, because I just couldn't figure out what they were doing. And then it gets to that episode where you've got Saint Walker and Mogo showing up in the same episode.
Yeah.
And oh, fuck, I know what they're doing now. This is all coming together.
To be fair, taking a big picture view, everything that DC animation has done since Batman the Animated Series, with the exception of maybe the first 2 seasons of The Batman, has been universally great.
Yeah, I agree
For
with you.
over 20 years.
And even the first 2 seasons of The Batman, I thought were still fairly decent. It was just a totally different thing. It was just trying to be, a Saturday morning Batman show.
But then they made The Brave and the Bold, which is a Saturday morning Batman show that is infinitely better.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
Most
Oh,
definitely.
I love the hell out of the Batman Brave and the Bold, but I understand why that one didn't succeed because it has a very target audience, and I just happen to be part of that target audience, and did a wonderful job with it. But yeah,
That show did all right. It got 3 seasons, and they were fairly successful
It
seasons.
did very well. I'm shocked that they were able to go that long with that target audience, and it has one of my favorite final episodes of any cartoon.
Yeah.
That final episode is so great. But let's see. And then, talking about Young Justice, I will admit, Young Justice, in the beginning, I did not like it because I looked at it and I went, they're just trying to sell toys. Because, there was an episode in there,
That's what they failed
which
at.
sadly, that's
It
why
felt-
the show might be canceled, because...
It felt like see, to me, Young Justice felt like the extension of Under the Red Hood, because it shares the animation style, it shares the same Batman.
I feel like that now, but when I first started watching it, I thought it was just them trying to sell toys, because, it was like, okay, every single character has multiple different costumes. They have a special vehicle. Then there came the Amazo episode, where every single member of the team had their own transforming supercycle, including Kid Flash, who does not need a supercycle. He's faster than the cycle they gave him, and yet still they gave him a transforming, customized supercycle, and I almost stopped watching at that point, because I was like, this is almost insulting how much you're trying to sell toys. And then after that episode, they stopped with it. And it was almost like they just came to Cartoon Network and went, God damn it, we're not doing this anymore. We're trying to tell a story. And if we can still sell toys doing that, then good. And the sad thing is they can't. But the show became so much better after that. I mean, listen, I have always been a Marvel guy, and I wanted to defend that Avengers cartoon and say, no, this is better than Young Justice. Who the fuck am I kidding? Who the fuck am I kidding? Young Justice.
I really started watching Young Justice more out of a fuck you to canceling Spectacular Spider-Man and a love for Greg Weisman.
Man, yeah.
Like, dude, Witch is actually kind of good.
Witch?
Yeah. Magical girls discover their witches and portals.
I've heard good things about it.
I've heard about that now. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, Greg Weisman did this. I'll watch that. Oh, this is so much more than what Nickelodeon made it out to be, which is kind of the same thing that happened to me when Avatar: The Last Airbender was originally on.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks for little kids. Screw that. All my friends come to me.
The first episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender is surprisingly bad, considering how every single episode after that.
Yeah,
I would say the first season of Avatar: The Last Airbender is not particularly
I've got to agree with Matt on this one. Up until the very end of season 1, I was like, it is hard. I think that Avatar: The Last Airbender is an amazing show.
Well,
but if I had to tell somebody who has never seen it to just start marathoning it, it'd be kind of hard for me to do it, because, the entire first season does not reflect the rest of the series.
Well, that's good to hear.
I get around to watching it, I need to stick it out. So.
I'm only up to episode 12 of season 1, and the quality of episode 1 and episode 2 is astounding. Episode 1 is a really bad beginning of the series, and as soon as they get all of that shit out of the way,
but given where that show goes, the entirety of season 1 is not indicative of what that show becomes.
Yeah,
I cannot wait.
Why am I getting flashbacks to the general internet reaction of Buffy? Like, the first season's bad, stick it out, it gets better.
Dude, there's so many shows that you can say that about. There's so many shows that get improve after
Is there any great show that starts with a strong
The
first
Wire.
season?
That starts
The Wire is the exception.
But you need, the first 4 episodes of The Wire, though.
The Wire.
The first episode of The Wire is kind of confusing as hell.
Well,
but
the first episode of every season of The Wire is very much, here's a bunch of characters that you don't know anything about yet.
Well, it's consistent. It's not like it improves as it goes on. It just you realise what it is as it goes on, which I think is a different thing.
Kind of like Young Justice.
Yeah.
Bringing that back.
How many of you guys went and downloaded or bought on iTunes or didn't buy on iTunes the Before the Dawn episode that came on that was put up?
Oh, you mean of the Young Justice that was supposed to... I went and saw that on YouTube, which makes me think which gives me hope for why they pulled it, because, let's go ahead and address that. For people who don't know what the controversy behind all this is, Cartoon Network, they had their DC Nation blog, which came on Saturday mornings, and then during fucking Comic-Con, of all times to do, they pull it 8 hours before it's supposed to go up.
After it had come back for 2 weeks!
Yeah, they had just brought the whole thing back for 2 weeks, saying, DC Nation, it's back, and then they pull it 8 hours before the third episode of that second season of those shows is supposed to begin, with no warning at all to the people who worked on the show. I mean, like the guy who makes the Green Lantern show, he said he found out when he turned on the Cartoon Network to watch his show, and the How to Train Your Dragon show came on instead. So that is a huge dick move.
Is this the one where you said that it might be this giant conspiracy?
I don't think that's what it is, but that is one of the
I love that.
But that is one of the conspiracies, and it's one of those ones in which, fuck man, it is all kind of lining up. I know it's not that, But it is all kind of like...
Yeah, I know it's
Have
not
to
true,
join it
but
together.
But it just all fits in there. But yeah, what it is
all
that there was
connected,
no
man.
explanation given for why this happened. And a lot of people, and the only explanation at all that we have gotten still to this day from Cartoon Network is they let out a tweet saying, hey, did you hear? Not, hey, don't worry, they'll be back. But, hey, did you hear? Your GC Nation will be back in January. It's like, no, we did not hear this motherfucker. We tuned in to watch it. That's what happened. So... a lot of people have been trying to figure out
promos just when you weren't paying attention.
So a lot of people have been trying to figure out what happened exactly, and a lot of people are thinking that the Young Justice toys just weren't selling. Which I mean, yeah, they do need extra income. They can't just depend solely on the show, because that is a hand-drawn show with a cast of like 50 people working on it. That is an expensive ass show.
Hand-drawn in the way that shows are hand-drawn these days.
Yeah, but I mean that's still more expensive than what they do with Green Lantern. I mean, yeah, it's not.
Sure.
It's not like hand drawn in the old days, but I mean that's still more expensive than like total CG.
But like, are toys such a huge part? Like, there's not a bunch of Korra toys selling, are there?
No,
like,
yeah.
I feel like
Exactly. Like
Ben
that's just
10 sells tons of them.
What was that?
Ben 10 sells tons.
Ben
of
10's a
toys.
different thing.
That's a
though.
totally different thing. This, Ben 10 gets okay ratings, and the toys keep it around forever. Young Justice was killing in the ratings, and so was Legend of Korra. But Legend of Korra got renewed for like 5 seasons. And three.
But yeah.
But I mean, yeah, it was only supposed to have 2.
I feel like this is Nickelodeon has always, regardless of the quality of the shows, they've always had more faith in their properties than Cartoon Network has.
I believe that's true, but it's but looking at like the different ideas, the toys was one idea that people were having. The other one was, and this is which I don't necessarily think it's the toys, because this is the big question. Why did they remove it? Because advertisers buy time for that show at that time. Removing the show, even if you put the same ads on at the same time on a different show, that means that they have to refund at least some of the money to the advertisers. So by just not even playing that one episode, they lost money, which is so shocking to me. So I've been trying to figure that out, and there's the theory going around that Jackson was talking about. There's a theory going around that's because Stephanie Brown was in the next Young Justice episode.
We can't have this talk.
No, we
we'll
won't.
go on for an hour, and I will get upset.
It's clearly a bunch of nonsense bullshit, but the amount of parts, it's amazing. It's amazing to listen to. Anyone who doesn't know what it is, Google it right now, because
It
will
is
blow
one of those,
your
like, yeah, for
mind.
anybody who doesn't know, Stephanie Brown was this character in DC who was around the head of DC decided to have her killed. Then they brought her back and made her Batgirl.
And she was great.
Oh, she's so fucking good as Batgirl. I love the Batgirl series. And then not only did he reboot the entire universe so Stephanie Brown now doesn't exist, he also stopped publishing the trades for her book, so that if you try to find her trades, you have to buy a used copy for $50. And
it's so good.
and then, of all times, she finally shows up in the Young Justice cartoon on the episode they pull 8 hours before it goes on.
She fought 24 Draculas. She is worth putting in a cartoon.
She's so fucking good. She's an amazing character. But honestly, I don't think that that's the reason why either.
Oh no, it's blatantly a load of coincidence.
Yeah, but
come on.
all the coincidences, man. But yeah, it's
all connected.
But yes.
What is that voice, Callum?
I have no idea.
But yes, but
Okay.
this is the idea that I'm hoping that this is the explanation why. I watched that cartoon. I watched the episode that they were not supposed to show on Yar Har Fidelity D, and I watched that. I found it online, and there's a new villain introduced called Black Beetle. Black Beetle is voiced by Michael Clark Duncan, and
I don't think that's the reason. That can't be it.
Well, it can't be unless in like a future episode, like they suddenly went, oh shit, this line doesn't work, like it's screwed up, like we lost the audio on this. Normally we'd call the actor to come back in and record it, but we can't. So, I mean, I still think it was stupid that they didn't just re-air an episode because they're losing money by not showing a Young Justice episode at that time. But it's one of those things in which we'll know January 5th when it comes back. It will, the episode will come on and we'll see what happens. The other big idea was that, the show was going to introduce in that episode Static Shock. And Static Shock is
that's a bigger problem.
Is kind of owned by different people. So
that's such a mess. I would love to have Static in that show.
Fuck yes, I would love to have Static on there.
Cool.
The moment in that show when Milestone showed up, I'm sorry, Icon. When Icon showed
all
up,
the Milestone characters are so good.
The moment that Icon showed up and like caught a bus, I went, holy fuck, they have the Milestone characters in here.
But DC has been shitting all over those characters since they got them.
Oh, they did.
So.
They have totally been shitting all over them. But yeah, we won't. But yeah, okay. That's enough about the Young Justice. Which, by the way, one last thing about Young Justice. Sorry, let me.
So hey guys,
I totally forgot to mention this. The thing they do going from season 1 to season 2, a 5-year time skip out of nowhere.
So good.
That may be the bravest thing I've ever seen an animated series do. That is the.
I was very
So they
mad.
have young Justice and then probably slightly older Justice.
Kind
now.
of, basically, like
teenage
like
Justice.
in the first season, yeah, it's Robin, it's Aqualad, it's Superboy, it's Miss Martian, and all these other characters, and they're all like 16, 17 years old. Then, out of nowhere, the moment that season 1 ends, season 2 begins with Superboy and Miss Martian, who are shapeshifters and a clone who can't age. But then all of a sudden you see the rest of the team, and the rest of the team is totally different. And
Nightwing!
And then you start wondering, well, what's happening? Where are all the other characters I loved? And then you see them, and they're 5 years older. Like, Robin is now Nightwing.
Wait, so they started on the characters that can't age, and then they pull it out.
And then, exactly. They totally swept the rug out from under you.
When Miss Martian kissed Lagoomba, I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" No, because this is the only show where I'm kind of like a shipper. But I was just like, "No, you're fucking with my relationship."
And that is so fucking creepy what they did with Miss Martian, because Miss Martian, in the end of season 1, she was kind of starting to like abuse her telepathic powers a little bit. When they revealed that after 5 years have gone by, she had become like just lobotomizing villains, and Superboy tried to break up with her because of that, and she just brainwashed him into keep dating her for another year after that. It was like,
that's so
holy
good.
Shit.
That show is real dark.
This isn't a kid show.
You're selling me so hard on the show.
So amazing.
You go back and watch.
By spoiling my best moments, but
going back and rewatching the one in Africa that deals with her and Hello Megan.
Find out why
I was just like, oh my god, this is so much darker.
When you find out why she acts the way she does, it's like, oh, fuck. Because I had found her kind of annoying up to that point, but then the moment that you understand why she acts that way, it's, oh fuck. This got real.
Jackson, if you were ever really into like the more serialized episodes of Justice League, this is what that show is built off of.
Yeah, it was reminding me so much of like the serialized episodes of Justice League. Exactly.
I want Greg Weisman to do a Justice League show after this.
Oh yeah, I would love that. Well, the Young Justice.
I want him to do anything.
The Young Justice cartoon really has just become a DC Heroes cartoon because the Justice League plays almost as much of a role in there. In fact, most of the heroes most of the teenage heroes we followed in the first season, the season starts off with them becoming members of the Justice League.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I absolutely love those shows. But
comes back January 5th.
And
hopefully we're all still around.
Yeah, that's when we will find out our answer to all this. If we tune in and Stephanie Brown has been digitally removed. You will see like shit. You will see comic book stores have trash cans thrown through them, like it's the end of doing the right thing.
So essentially, I shouldn't venture onto the internet that way.
Oh no, I can't wait! I really want it to be true. I want that to be another.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like I would absolutely like. Don't get me wrong. I don't want that to happen, but if it did, I would just hop on the internet and just sit there and watch.
Like she was removed because of another issue down the line, technicality with animation or something, but just keeps adding on. Anyway,
the numbers, Mason. Tell us about the numbers.
Oh shit. Well, does anybody have anything else? This pretty much ends the first part of our Cartoon Network discussion. Anybody have?
I like how we just skipped over 7 years though without any previous.
I want to talk. I'll probably come back for part 2. But
Hi Puffy Ami.
Callum wants to at least mention Hi Puffy Ami.
Okay, all right. Everybody, let's just go around. Everybody, just mention what your favorite show, or just a show that you really want to talk about from Cartoon Network's history. Callum, you definitely have one you want to start with, so go ahead.
I have two, but I'll go with one I want to talk about most first, and then I'll have my favourite one at the end. Hi Puffy Amiyumi is like probably the last cartoon I watched before I stopped watching cartoons for a while. and it's supposed to be about this Japanese band called Puffy, or in the States Puffy Army Yumi, because legal issues. And you got there's Army, the sweet girly one, Yumi, the hard tough rocker chick, and their skinny and their tight flinty manager Kaz, and the idea and the premise is they go around the world on tour. Very few, pretty much no episodes actually revolve around them playing any gigs or anything. For the most part, it's just set up for them to go off and do crazy shit with like little fourth wall and then great and like good animation and parodies and just like the best fucking music. And
Well, yeah, Hofiami Yumi's a real band. I want to point out for anyone who didn't know.
They did the Teen Titans theme song for anybody who doesn't know.
Yes. And then they just have, and this show's just made of awesome music, like from beginning to end. And then it's got like voice actors very good. It is very, very, very cheesy at some points, and one or two of the episodes like don't fully work. But it's fast paced, it's entertaining, and again, I really like the animation style, which is entirely done in Flash and is extremely stylized. Like, oftentimes there's very little distinction as to what's a floor and what's a wall. Like, they'll have just things painted on, they'll have arrows come out of nowhere pointing to other things, and that. It's really I think it works and I like it, but I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't.
Okay,
And then
I'm gonna go next, Callum, because I think the next one you're gonna say is gonna be my favorite show.
Go with it.
Batman the Animated Series is what you were going to say, right?
No,
That
that's
was
not a Cartoon Network show.
No.
It was
God, Callum.
Sorry. I have like a favourite show, but I'll have Matthew say what it is first.
I think we're gonna agree because I think we mentioned it on Twitter. My favorite Cartoon Network show that we have not talked about at all is Foster's.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
It is up
Callum,
there.
were you going to talk about Foster's?
It is not my favourite, but it is up there, and damn it all, that's a fantastic show.
All right, so Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was a later show. It was like 2003, 4 probably.
Yeah, 6.
I was graduating high school, so that'd be 4.
2003 to 2006.
Yeah. Just a great show. Very whimsical, very minimalist animation style that didn't feel particularly Flash heavy. It was probably animated. Was that animated Flash? I can't tell.
It had to have been Flash. It was way too smooth.
But it's definitely a post Dexter's Lab kind of show, or Powerpuff Girls in terms of the influences and style, and just one of those great shows that is all ages and really smart and sentimental without being sappy or condescending.
You really can tell it's Craig McCracken and Long.
Yeah, that has got more heart to it than almost any Cartoon Network show from their entire history.
Yeah, Worldwide Wabbit, that season 1 episode, is one of my favourite half hours of cartoon in the whole world, ever. Because for some reason, I just loved that episode, and it was so ahead of its time as well. Like, it managed to properly predict the rise of viral video and that, 3 years before it truly happened. I even like the way that they even went about having Blue be a complete jerk. But they actually admit, he's a jerk, he's a bit of a dick sometimes, instead of just, doing snapbacks for most of it. And then there was goo, and then cheese, and just so good.
Alright, that's everything. Everyone's complaining in the chat that we're going too long, so someone else go.
I'm saying that we're doing pretty well. Naz, what's yours?
I really, right now, it's Young Justice. I want to shout out to Totally Spies in terms of weird shows that I just found on Cartoon Network.
Such a weird show. That's, I kept trying to figure out...
I liked it.
Yeah, just shout out to that show. It was kind of okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. I thought it was just kind of okay. But it was one of those, every single week, something very weird happens on this show. So, All right, Mike, how about you?
I guess... I don't know, probably Gundam Wing.
Gundam Wing was pretty badass.
Because there was really only a 2-year period where I really watched Cartoon Network / Toonami, and that was 99 to 2001. So that was, DBZ, Gundam Wing, Outlaw Star, Bebop, basically all the, anime. That was my exposure to anime. But yeah, I like Gundam Wing. Giant mechs.
And also, that was one of those shows in which it was so weird to me because, the characters in that show were, maybe a year or 2 younger than me because they were each, 14, and I started watching when I was 15. And yet they all looked 8 years older than me. That was the first time I ever watched anime and went, no one understands age in Japan. That's
Right.
That explains a lot of things.
Yeah,
that explains the Dead or Alive series and how that guy hasn't been arrested yet. All right.
Nothing explains the Dead or Alive series.
All right, Jackson, how about you?
Regular show.
Yeah, I knew you were going to talk about that one. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, obviously, I haven't watched that much Cartoon Network in my life compared to everyone else here because of the way my television ended up working out. But regular show is amazing. I love it, and it's one of my favourite comedies of the last few years.
Have you seen the Christmas special yet?
I have not.
Oh, the Christmas special. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I have not seen a lot. I'm still going through it. It's so good. It's so funny, and it's so funny so quickly as well. It understands how to. It understands really well just how to quick set up and punchline like that, boom, boom, and it doesn't miss a single beat. It's great.
It has a formula, but it doesn't feel like it has a formula when you're watching it.
Because I watched a lot of Seinfeld and this at the same time, and they feel really similar in the way. I mean, they're completely different shows in every respect.
It's
but
about
just the
nothing,
way,
really.
yeah, the way it's kind of about nothing, and you get these. Obviously, regular shows way more focused on an actual relationship conflict than Seinfeld can have a bit more meandering, hilarious nonsense. But just it can do the two friends talking about nothing, even though they're ridiculous friends in a ridiculous world. It gets that really well, and it's great.
Have you decided?
I'll take the Eggs Benedict and orange juice.
And I'll have the Excellent Challenge.
Oh, I wouldn't recommend the Excellent Challenge. It's more of a promotional item.
Yeah, and it's the only reason we're here, so...
Sir, it's really just something...
Okay, hold on. I'm confused. I'm the customer, right?
Well, yes.
What does that sign say over there?
The customer is always right.
And what am I?
The customer.
And the sign?
Sir, please.
Say it.
The customer is always right. What would you like, sir?
Bring me the omelet.
Dude, you're allergic to eggs?
I thought if I ate really fast, maybe I wouldn't notice.
Very quickly then, my favourite animated show of all time, the one that fully introduced me to pop culture, the one that held my attention for 5 years, the one of which I got heavily involved with fandom, wrote fanfiction for, even cried at the ending, and if any of you have looked at my Twitter bio, you'll know immediately, is Codename Kids Next Door, and god damn it, I love that show to death. It is my favourite animated show of all time.
It's alright.
Yeah, I think I was too old for that one when it came on.
Blasphemous!
No, I actually think that show's okay. I'm just teasing Colin because we've talked about it at length before.
I think it's okay too. It's like I don't think there's anything wrong with it or anything. It's just it never really hit me.
I think that is extremely high praise to lump on Codename Kids Next Door. That is crazy praise. It's fun.
It's probably the fact that it came along at the absolute perfect time of my life. Quite frankly, probably. Like, it was 2002, if I remember. And by that point, I was starting to mature, so I get a bit into like the internet in general, and also like started watching several grown-up things about. So, like for example, when we could bust out a Dragon Ball Z parody episode or a parody episode of the Animatrix, like they dedicated an entire 10-minute segment to the Second Renaissance, but nobody in their initial target audience could possibly have gotten. Like they bust out that episode. That was just sort of like it came along at the perfect time for me, and I loved that show to death, which is precisely why I've blown 50 quid this Christmas importing a technically pirated copy of the full series on DVD because Cartoon Network refused to do the right thing and just fucking release it.
Have you got?
That is some ghetto shit.
Have you gotten it?
I love the way you.
It is actually coming. I'm not kidding. They keep responding to
You're
my
gonna open the box and there's gonna be a big plank of wood that just says.
If you're gonna buy shady Blu-ray or DVDs, why don't you just go to the internet and find yourself copies of all the shows?
I was about to say I would be shocked if all the episodes weren't on YouTube somewhere.
Or other resources where you could even have them on a hard drive.
It may not have been the most efficient decision for you, Callum. In any respect.
I am an idiot, and this is like my first time using that shit.
Hey, understandable. We've all bought that. I remember back before shows started putting out their episodes on DVD. Whenever I would go to a comic book convention, there'd always be one guy there who had like entire collections of shows on VHSs and DVDs, and they were terribly burned, but I'd still buy them because I had no other way of getting them. So yeah, I've done that shit. I understand.
Yeah, so basically, like, I imagine in the future I'll do a better job at this, but for now I've gone through a legitimate site that uses Google Money as its actual, and PayPal as its transfer systems, and I keep getting messages back say like as updates to progress on the actual burning and shit.
So you are under the impression that this is a real thing. You are
if
really
this
getting.
turns out fake, my brother is going to laugh at me as is. So then
We're going to laugh at you as is.
Yeah, that's like, if I come on podcast, that's for Christmas.
Let's be fair. I'm going to laugh at you no matter what happens.
What? Oh, hold on. What if your DVD has the hidden original episode with Stephanie Brown in it?
Oh, I didn't get the Kids Next Door. I just got some piece of garbage. It's the entire second season of
like
Green Lantern and
DC.
Young Justice. I don't understand
Like
this.
DC Young Justice. Truly, I'm going to burn this shit.
Cartoons. Guys.
All right, we're going to take a little.
Make us do crazy.
We're going to take a little break now, and we're going to come back with more of a serious look at Cartoon Network. But stay tuned, everybody.
We can be serious?
Some of you won't be here, so yes.
I can be serious when I want to be.
He can be swerious.
When Jackson is not on here, I can be serious.
Adventure time! Come on, grab your friends. We'll go to very distant lands. We'll take the dog and then the new and the fun will never end. It's adventure time.
Okay, we're back, and we're now going to do a tad bit more serious version of what we were doing last time. Last time was more just fun, us just jumping around, telling you what our favorite blah, 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 blah. Telling you what our favorite Cartoon Network series were, trying to go kind of like in an order. But this time, we are joined by the animation expert on the panel, Michelle.
Hello.
And I actually have a list now of shows that have come on Cartoon Network. So we're kind of just going to go down, like, chronologically, for the most part. The list isn't totally chronological, so we're going to be jumping still a little bit. But for the most part, we're going to be expressing, like, the different waves that have gone through Cartoon Network, talking about its different stages of development, what each, like, sort of block of shows have kind of said about cartoons around that time. And, yeah, so let's start off. We mentioned last time that the What a Cartoon Show was the first cartoon to ever come on Cartoon Network. Apparently it was not. Apparently in December of 1993, so a year after Cartoon Network started, they had something called The Moxie Show, which I had never heard of at all.
I've watched it.
Yeah, of course you've watched it. What was it?
Well, it's basically, the Moxie Show. Moxie is a CGI cartoon dog, and, you know, back in 93, CGI wasn't all that great, so...
Just look at Dire Straits videos.
Yeah, what was that, Money for Nothing?
Yeah, that kind of...
people walking around.
Yeah, the kind of animations. Wow, we've come such a long way. So anyway, he kind of just, like, hosts the show, and then they just show, like, shorts of Bugs Bunny and stuff. So it's not like an official show, but yeah, it was like Cartoon Network's first step towards making original cartoons in a way.
Yeah, and the next show that they had was Space Ghost Coast to Coast, which once again, that was nothing but clips of old Space Ghost episodes.
Yeah, but they re-edited it to make it yeah,
that was the first thing that they actually tried to do, like, work on, I guess.
Historical question here. How long, like, what was Cartoon Network before they did original shows? How long were they around in terms of other things or reruns?
They were around for a year before the Moxie Show came on, and that was just nothing but...
yeah, like Scooby-Doo and, like, Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry, and stuff like that.
And all this stuff was basically just links more than anything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
What does links mean? I don't know these terms. Genuinely, I didn't even know what links mean. Is that weird?
Callum, what does links mean?
When you just get a presenter to introduce the next show. Like,
okay.
Like if you ever watch, it's like continuity now, except a physical person where they film.
I know what they. Yeah. I get it now.
Yeah,
cool.
Okay.
That's interesting.
But yeah, in Space Ghost Coast to Coast, did they have guests from the beginning? Do you remember? Because as soon as I started watching it, they had guests.
Yes, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, they did, like, you know, interview like celebrities and everything, but the thing about the interviews are so weird. It's like, I don't know if like the celebrities knew they were being interviewed by a cartoon character. It just seemed like really...
Yeah, like I remember there were some in which I had, like, clearly they had no idea. Like, they had Willie Nelson on, and like Willie Nelson, I was like, I don't even think Willie Nelson gets the he was too old for Space Ghost back when Space Ghost was on originally. So I have no idea if he even understands the concept behind this thing. But then on another one, they had Conan O'Brien on, and I'd be shocked if he wasn't just improvising it, and they went back later to try and fix Space Ghost. So yeah, there were some that it's clear that they were just that they were improvising. Some I would guess probably had a script, but yeah. And then after that came the What a Cartoon Show, which that one we thought was the first one, but that's kind of what all their other cartoons came from.
Yeah, it's like the What a Cartoon Show was basically they air several different cartoons, basically the pilot episodes, and whichever group of cartoons out of the ones they air were the most popular, they ended up getting their own series.
Yeah, and that's where pretty much everything that came from this next, like, as we mentioned, the Cartoon Network series came in waves, and after What a Cartoon Show, that's when, as a year after that, that's when their first actual shows came about, and they all kind of came out What a Cartoon Show. It was Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, and then I Am Weasel all came around, and we mentioned a lot of those earlier on the last time, but then like right after that was Powerpuff Girls, Edda and Eddie, Mike, Lou, and Og, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, and yeah, that was all for that phase. That was which, man, Cartoon Network has not been around as long as I thought. Looking at these dates on these shows, I could have sworn that that they were way longer ago, but no, these were all in the very late 90s when this came about. But yeah, so the first wave was really Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, and I Am Weasel. Then Powerpuff Girls was the start of the second wave, which went into Ed N.A., Mike, Lou, and Og, and Courage the Cowardly Dog, which we mentioned a lot of those shows, but Mike, Lou, and Og was one of those ones that I thought was really cute, and it didn't get any attention at all. It was just little girl stranded on an island with a whole bunch of natives and basically having wacky adventures, and I thought, it's a cute idea.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe they just didn't have much to work with. Or...
Well, yeah, and also it had that style where it was kind of rough around the edges.
Well, so did Ed and Eddie, but
Ed and Eddie was almost squiggly line.
Yeah,
that was and Ed and Eddie stuff was constantly happening. That was total squash and stretch dynamics going on in there. I mean, the running gag is they shove the giant jawbreakers in and their heads get huge. And Mike, Lou, and Og was a little bit more relaxed and calm. In fact, Mike, Lou, and Og, when you look at the ratings, that actually got a rating of TVG, which means it's implied for the whole family, whereas the other ones got TVY7, meaning it's specifically meant for little kids. Speaking of Ed and Eddie...
Ed and Eddie for little kids. Courage the Cowardly Dog for little kids.
Courage the Cowardly Dog, that's one that's no, man, that Courage the Cowardly Dog was deep, I think. That is a show
extremely.
That was messed up. But...
And that was the first one of these cartoons that, just looking down this list, that's the first one of them that I actually remember getting a final episode. Out of all these shows, the only two of the shows that we mentioned so far that had actual final episodes were Ed, Ed and Eddie, which didn't end until until 2009. That thing was on for 10 years. But then Courage the Cowardly Dog,
that
ended in 2000.
Got cancelled at some point and then got brought back again.
I think so. I guess so. But then Courage the Cowardly Dog, that actually had a final episode, which I
thought
really enjoyed.
Dexter's Lab had a final episode. Well,
they had the
ego trip.
They had the movie, and then they brought it back.
Yes, it's been a while. So
I thought Powerpuff Girls had one as well, where Mojo Jojo wins the key to the city and becomes nice or something. Or was that?
Yeah, kind of. I don't remember.
That was in its last season, but I don't think it was its final episode. I think that was just another episode that they were doing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I remember that was one of those shows that just ended. That really ticked me off about a lot of these shows in these first two groups. Is that Johnny Bravo, Cow and Chicken, Powerpuff Girls, and what was the other one that I was looking at? Oh no, that's coming up later. But yeah, all those ones, they helped build the site. They helped build the channel. No final episode. They just kind of ended.
Well, the thing is, about those cartoons, they didn't have, like, a continuing plot point. Each episode was its own little adventure, so it didn't really need, like, a final episode in a way, so...
Yeah. By the way, speaking of Ed and A, what do you get? Has anybody heard the theory that they're actually all dead and it's purgatory?
I have heard this theory.
No, but
it's
go
an
on
amazing
anyway.
theory. It's the best thing in the world. Please be true. It's true. I don't care. It's the best.
No, but
Michelle, have
I'd
you
like
heard
to
this?
hear it. Would you?
No, but...
Oh shit, I could have sworn you probably knew this one. Okay, yeah, well basically...
I might have heard of it, but it's been a while.
Basically, they're saying that, you know what, you never see any adults in there, they never age, they never go outside of the town either. All of them...
Isn't there something to do with, like, time progresses in a weird way as well? If
Time does kind of progress in a weird way there, yeah, and also, like, the kids... every single one of the kids that live in that area basically kind of, like, personify a different decade from time. Yeah. And every single one of the kids have blue or brown tongues, which is the color that your tongue turns when you're dead. The only characters who have pink tongues are the cankers, who live outside of the town and come in only to pester them, implying they're kind of demons from hell. And the only other adult that they ever meet in the show's history, the only other adult that is ever seen in the show, is Eddie's brother, who they have to travel outside the town to meet, and when they meet him, he's a dick, meaning they might have gone into hell to find him. And so it's like, it's one of those ones in which, damn, everything just keeps adding up on this.
Kind of makes you wonder if, like, the Peanuts gang is the same thing. I mean, you never really see the
adults.
adults.
And then they cancelled Ed, Edd and Eddie before Stephanie Brown showed up.
Yeah.
Don't get him started on it already, Jackson.
We already talked about that one, and thank God the audio was saved.
I find all these conspiracies, anything about kids shows having some crazy depth or conspiracy is just amazing to me. I don't care whether it's true or not. It's just fun to think about.
It is.
Yeah, it is fun to think about, especially because, you know, we're going to mention a lot of the shows that have come up now, but a lot of the shows that Cartoon Network has now, it's very clear that the people who are making that kind of are aware of acid and going to different levels of thinking. So it does not surprise me if, like, Ed and A actually, they were thinking on that level at some point when they were making this show. But let's see.
Well, remember the entire episode, which was made up of the fact that they kept screwing their own outlines.
They kept what?
Screwing their own outlines. That fourth wall break episode, where they thought they were in a cartoon or something, so they kept pulling each other's outlines and they turned to goo.
Yes. Oh yeah, and they did. Yeah, and Ed and A, they did have a couple of like weird, like trippy episodes, and it's like, but there was no explanation for why it was weird and trippy.
It's because they're in purgatory.
It's very possible. I would love that. Out of all the people who have ever worked on Cartoon Network, that's the one guy I would love to talk to the most. Just so I can go, dude, seriously, have you heard this theory? And is
Danny
it true?
Antonucci.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Let's see. In their next little wave, it was Sheep in the Big City, Time Squad. This is when you start getting into the stuff that didn't quite work for them. Because you had Sheep in the Big City, which, once again, I love that, but it was not popular. Time Squad was a cool concept, but they did not work it at all, in my opinion.
It could have, like, had a lot of potential, but
yeah, exactly.
Kind of fell flat.
And then in the next two parts of this wave, Grim and Evil, which eventually turned into the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Billy and Mandy and Evil Con Carne.
And Evil Con Carne. They tried to separate those two, and one succeeded, one did not.
One also happened to be slightly tasteless after a certain terrorist attack.
Very good point, yes. Which, yeah, exactly. That show, that aired the month before that terrorist attack, Grim and Evil, and then they eventually split apart. But the other one, part of this wave, which I can't believe we didn't mention, Samurai Jack.
You guys didn't mention Samurai Jack?
No, we didn't mention that.
People,
Shame on you. Shame on you.
We are bad people.
No, we did.
Apologize.
In passing.
We mentioned it like in passing, yeah. But yeah, Samurai Jack, that to me was the first cartoon that I saw on Cartoon Network that just made me drop my jaw. Because, I mean, like, I think it was because I was finally getting to that age where I could appreciate stuff on that level, like stuff on like an artistic level, and it was the first one to go way out with it.
It was really daring.
It was really, it was huge. It was a massive show. And I mean, the concept behind it is so cool. For any of you out there who never got a chance to see Samurai Jack, it was about a samurai. It was about, like, you know, this little kid living in this samurai village whose father trapped away an evil spirit long ago. The evil spirit returns, and the father knows he's too old to stop him this time. So they enact this plan in which they take the young boy, who is nameless, and send him on a journey across the world in which he basically meets up with every group of fighters throughout time. You know, he meets up with Robin Hood, he meets up with the Vikings, he meets up with, you know, people from every single continent, and learns, like, special skills from each of them. And then comes back to fight the demon. Fights the demon's about to lose, and then all of a sudden he goes, actually, I've got a plan. I can't beat you now, but I can beat you later. So he sends the warrior in time into the future, thousands of years into the future, where this demon Aku has now been ruling. It's a futuristic wasteland where, you know, there's aliens and robots and all this stuff. And I just, oh man, it is so freaking good.
And that's just the first episode.
That's all in the first episode. And I mean, they do so much.
Yes, they do all that in just like...
in just one episode. It's so incredible.
And the rest of the series is about the samurai who everyone calls Jack, trying to find a way back home, back to his original time, so he can defeat Aku.
And they do such creative stuff. Like, there are so many amazing homages to different, like, mythological things, or different, you know, pieces of science fiction. They do... I mean, that is one of those that if you have, like, a love for samurai films and science fiction together, you'll just be in paradise watching that.
Hell.
And I mean, the animation, it's Genndy Tartakovsky going balls to the wall. It is him putting everything out there. So, yeah, I absolutely love that series.
Why do we not have our movie yet?
Oh, because he just made Hotel Transylvania. I mean, that was the one which he had to go, well, if you want that Samurai Jack film, you have to make this a success. And indeed he did. So,
and now it's like, well, you want to see that Samurai Jack movie? You better make that Popeye movie a success.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do not keep making him do that stuff. Don't keep making him jump through hoops.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just talk about Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, too, because that is one of those ones.
I love that show.
That show, once again, it's about two kids who have the Grim Reaper as a best friend. It's one of those, like, this is for children?
Contest.
Yeah, and it's like, this is for children?
It's like, it's a definitely, like, dark humor, but it works. You know, it's not, like, too dark and scary, but, like, enough, you know, I think
it's also because it's, like, a divide. Grim and evil is, like, you know, is very, very dark and bleak and humor-focused. But when they split it off into Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, it became... a bit lighter, but it still had that sort of edge in there. You could turn on, and then suddenly you turn on an episode in which Mandy has a disgusting pus-filled scarab's head out of nowhere, or
it's technically about death.
People.
It's technically about death, but it's more about how this guy is just weird and doesn't fit in.
Yes, very much. It was, and I mean, it's a weird, goofy, out there, just slapsticky, jokey kind of a show that takes place largely in hell and the afterlife. I mean, it'd be almost if, like, the Warner Brother guys had to adapt H.P. Lovecraft stories. It's a lot of that kind of humor,
and
but with that kind of a setting.
Lines. Like the mere existence of Dracula in that show is tiptoeing along many lines. If they did it slightly wrong, then it could all fall apart. But it just works well.
I absolutely love Dracula in there.
Dracula, bite Dracula, scrape a lick.
But they didn't have. But when they decided to have Dracula in the show, it wasn't Dracula, it was Blackula from the old 70s. And I mean, it's clearly an old guy still stuck in the 70s.
Scrape a lick.
Oh man, I could go on and on about all the stuff I love in there. I mean, when you find out about Billy being afraid of clowns, and when he mentions that is my favorite. Anybody, just look up the Destroy Us All clip on YouTube from Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It's so fucking good. Let's see, the next little wave that came out, it wasn't much of a wave.
Before we do that as well, I just want to... I also, for some reason, just love the Good Bling and the Hip Hoppopotamus episode, which has an episode which culminates in a Yo Mama fight, which I just love to death for.
Oh, the hippopotamus!
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yes.
Did they do the hippopotamus before Flight of the Conchords? Because if they did, I'm going to lose my mind.
They did hippopotamus before Flight of the Conchords.
That's crazy! I can't deal with all this information right now.
Oh, that episode is I believe the episode is on YouTube on the internet. Hunt it down, Jackson. It's brilliant.
I'm more than positive that most episodes of Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy have to be on YouTube. Let's see. This is where the little waves start to kind of disperse out, because this is when it kind of starts to just be like...
More like ripples, really.
Yeah, this is when they start to get like more different studios to come in and work for them. And because of that, stuff just kind of started to happen. We totally forgot to mention, because it's not listed here, so yeah, it's listed separately on this list, on this thing that's been compiled, but before I forget it, the Justice League cartoon also came out around this time. And that, to me, was one of those shows that it's like, so many people said it could not be done, but I mean, that to me was was where the DC animated universe really stepped up to a whole new level. Because I mean, yes, I know that I love the Superman animated series and the Batman animated series. That is incredible by itself. That is something that I'm shocked that they were able to do, because it was such a great noir series. Mm-hmm. But the Justice League thing, the fact that the Justice League cartoon, they came forward and said, no, we're going to do this, but every single episode is going to be at least 2 parts, because that's how big they want each story to be, and they allowed them to do it. And they were able to actually make really great 2-part episodes. And also, that to me is my favorite incarnation of Batman in any animated series, is the Batman they had in there, because every single thing they did with him was just badass. They had him ordering coffee, and it was badass. But yeah, okay. So,
how did he order his coffee?
Basically, it was an episode where the villain was Dr. Destiny, and that is the guy who controls dreams. So the moment you fall asleep, you're trapped, and you'll never wake up, because he's got you. And one by one, the Justice League is being knocked off. And it starts off with Batman having already been awake for 48 hours straight on patrol. And all of a sudden, he starts realizing each of his members are being taken down like this. He puts it all together, figures out what's happening. And he figures out that the person doing this is this man in a coma in this prison ward. And so he has to basically hop in the Batmobile and travel there. And he keeps like seeing the Dr. Destiny guy, who's just got a skull face and a hood, keep popping up in his windshield going, "You're feeling tired. You're getting sleepy. Why don't you just give up?" And then he pulls into a parking lot, and then the next thing you see is just a bunch of people in line at Starbucks partying away and looking shocked, and Batman steps up, goes, "Give me a triple, large."
Oh, that is the best thing.
Amazing.
That's like I said, they made everything Batman does in there fucking badass.
I can just imagine them in the writers' room coming up with like, wait, so we've got this. How about he orders coffee? And everyone parts because they know Batman needs his fucking coffee right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's Batman.
You do not fuck with Batman's coffee.
Exactly. Like, in the Batman animated series, they realize, okay, he's a detective. It's very noir. In this, they realize he's standing next to with Superman and the Flash and Wonder Woman, and he's just a human. We have to make him the most badass person on Earth, and indeed they did. So that, to me, is my number one must-own thing, is the entire Justice League DVD set. Because that entire run was so good. And when they eventually got canceled and they said, you know what, give us one more shot, we have an idea, they brought it back as Justice League Unlimited, which was basically every single DC superhero period, all on one team, and they were now individual, issue episodes that each focused on a different collection of superheroes. And I was like, well, how are they going to do that? They're not going to be able to have the story flow like they did. They're not going to be able to have the characters that are lovable that you grow attached to. They found a way. They were able to make it so that every single episode has different characters with different stories, and yet they all still compiled into one thing leading towards season finales, and they were fantastic.
I love the fact that you watch the entirety of Justice League and did not have the faith in them to be able to pull this off.
Well, dude, this is something I didn't think anybody could pull off. The fact that they had every single superhero in one show. I mean, they had one episode.
I need to watch this.
They had one episode dedicated solely to Booster Gold, who's nothing but a douchebag from the future. And they made you, like, your heart melt for this guy.
I blew it!
It's not too late.
I can't do it!
Yes, you can. You have to.
Tracy, I'm a fraud. Do you know why I came back to the past? It wasn't a fight for justice. It was to get rich, be famous. I was a failure in the future, just like I am here. I'm not a superhero.
Everything is about to be destroyed forever. And where are the other superheroes? Not here. You are. You're the only one who can do this. So do it.
I mean, that is one of the best episodes, the Booster Gold episode that they did. And, like I said, the end of their first season, that is one of the best season finales of any animated series I've ever seen. The one where Lex Luthor and Brainiac team up, and basically the original 7 have to get back together, and the Flash ends up beating him in the greatest Flash moment of all time. It is amazing. Alright, so let's see, moving on from there, we have now got... as we mentioned, Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and then Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
The Genndy Tartakovsky one.
We didn't mention this at all yesterday.
This was 2003 that they're bringing up. Was this the Genndy Tartakovsky one? Or
yes.
Was this... Okay, yeah, I was going to say this.
This was the good one.
Yes,
it was
really,
really
the very
amazing.
good one.
This is the only thing I actually want to re-watch about Star Wars.
Yes.
So,
This is the only thing that hasn't been touched by George Lucas.
Do you remember when General Grievous was a badass?
Yeah, what the hell happened?
Yes.
Lucas got his hands on him, that's what.
It didn't have any of the bad dialogue of any of the Star Wars movies. It was straight up just, we've got lightsabers, we've got amazing animation, and it's going to kick ass.
I remember numerous of the episodes didn't even have dialogue, period. It was just Genndy Tartakovsky telling the story. I mean, there was one with Mace Windu just tearing shit up on the battlefield.
And my 8-year-old self...
So that's what I liked about Samurai Jack. It's like, there wasn't much dialogue, but there was plenty of action, and you...
Oh yeah, there was tons of episodes on Samurai Jack that, I mean, there was very little dialogue. Let's see, but yeah, oh man, this Star Wars Clone Wars, so good.
And my 8-year-old self loved every single second of it.
Yes.
My 8-year-old self loved every single second except the Anakin stuff in Season 2.
Yeah.
I was like, get back to Shark T, please. But
I meant Season 1.
Yeah, it was all good. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Let's see. Next up is what I mentioned yesterday as being my favorite of the Toonami shows, Megas XLR, which was just a Megas XLR. I didn't really go into detail about what it was. It was about this robot from the future that was going to save humanity from all these aliens that had been slaving the human race. The aliens were about to get their hands on it, so they decided to send it back in time so that way it could be safe. It winds up in a junkyard where some greaser 18-year-old like gearhead basically
from New Jersey.
From New Jersey and Super Jersey. And Super Jersey, and he's not like douchebag Jersey guy with his hair all slicked back. No, he's big, fat, lovable Jersey guy. He finds it.
I love how people from Jersey could be put into 2 easily definable camps.
Have you ever been to Jersey? It kind of can.
Is this early 90s Kevin Smith?
No, I'd say a little bit more lovable than early 90s Kevin Smith.
But in terms of look and, this is Jersey.
No, because he was wearing, like, flannel t-shirts and, had, like,
and now in sports jerseys.
Yeah, just look up Megas XLR Coop. C-O-O-P.
Oh, it's called Coop. Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's great.
But yeah, he finds it, puts a hot rod where the head was supposed to be, decals it with flames and magic 8 balls and stuff. And basically, he's been playing video games since he was a kid, so he knows how to work this robot better than anyone else. So it's basically this gearhead from Jersey fighting off giant space kaijus.
It's the last Starfighter.
Yes, it is! It's the last Starfighter!
What have you done to my robot?
My robot. Mine. Pretty cool, huh? Well, I dropped in a new engine, did some body work, gave him a 671 Jimmy Huffer.
You ruined it! Earth is doomed. There's no way I can pilot Megas now.
Nope, but we sure can.
That's it. You'll have to do it. You're our last hope at defeating the Glorft.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look, Red, I'm no hero. I'm just a guy from Jersey, okay? I want to cruise around in this baby, smash stuff, maybe pick up some chicks.
Chicks dig giant robots.
There you go. But yeah, I love that show. Let's see. Next up, I know Michelle wants to talk about this.
Yes, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
Yes. Yeah. Matt mentioned yesterday this was his favorite of the Cartoon Network shows. So
go so
ahead.
Good.
What can I say about it other than it's great?
Yeah, how many people worked on this? Because this was like a culmination of a bunch of different people who like all had different styles. Like, because didn't Lauren Faust work on it?
Yeah, she did. Was Craig McCracken? That was his name. He made this one. He also made Powerpuff Girls. So
and he's doing Wonder Over Yonder.
Yes, which I'm looking forward to.
Please don't screw it, Disney. Please don't screw it over. Please don't screw it over.
Yes, please don't screw it over like you did with Motor City. Thank you.
And Tron Uprising and currently Gravity Falls.
How was Gravity Falls in trouble? I thought that was at least getting
No, it's the fact that it's like it disappeared. They said it was coming back November, and now it's just coming back next year. Like,
God, did they fuck it up like they did with DC Nation on Cartoon
DC
Network?
Nation that shit.
Yeah, they had a specific
Nation,
date. They had a specific date for episode 13, and then they pulled it, and it's now just coming back next. Even Alex Hirsch doesn't know when it's coming back. And this is a show that's getting them record ratings.
Yes,
on Friday nights.
What's with these channels? Like, first the DC Nation, now Gravity Falls. Like, what's happening?
Do these people not like money?
A lot of cartoon things, like the way they run their businesses, are still very much in the past and haven't changed since the 90s. And the way people and kids grow up has changed big time.
Yeah, and
can't
like
sell toys to 20-year-old men.
Yeah, and like a lot of the people who now make these cartoons, they realize, no, a lot of the people who love these shows are my age. And they have disposable incomes. And they would love to donate and buy shit from this. But the people who run the networks are still like, I don't know, little kids, I don't know if they're...
The second that any Gravity Falls merchandise is made, I am buying that shit.
Yeah, it's like...
I think they do have, like, T-shirts online.
Yeah, they have one for the gnome barfing up rainbows. I'm buying that shit as soon as I have money.
Yes.
I think there is a shirt of a gnome barfing up rainbows. I saw it on Tumblr, so I think it's on WeLoveFine.com.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Alex Hirsch linked it. It looks amazing.
Yeah!
You won't be able to afford any T-shirts if you don't get your dodgy DVDs.
On the first
when it turns up, I'm going to tweet a picture of that with just the caption of "fuck you."
On the last episode, on the last part of this, Cal mentioned that he could not find a Kids Next Door DVD, so he bought a
just some bootleg DVDs,
a bootleg version of it, and he's waiting for it to show up.
Morally shady. If the real one was to exist, I would pay money for it. But Warner Brothers and Cartoon Network don't want my money, so I'm going to go elsewhere. And that is something I would
like to point out is that we were just talking about how the people running these networks don't know how to make money off this, and the audiences to sell it to.
Release it on DVD.
Think about, like, say, Young Justice. Young Justice is in a lot of trouble because its toys can't sell. Its DVDs aren't selling either. You know why the DVDs aren't selling? Because they thought, kids mostly watch this show, so we'll do that thing where we release only 3 episodes on a DVD.
I hate that
and then we will wait 5 years and release the actual collection. And they looked at it and went, well, the DVDs aren't selling. It's like, yeah, because adults love this show, and adults can see your bullshit when you do this, and we're not buying the 3 episodes per disc thing. We're waiting for the actual one. Give us the actual one, and you will see those sales go through the roof.
They're even doing that for regular show and Adventure Time, although Adventure Time actually got its Season 1 release.
Yeah, those two, Adventure Time at least finally did get its
but regular show, they're still doing, like, episode collections. No.
And it's like, the problem is that lots of people that I know in the UK, they pirate a lot of shows because there is no other way to get them.
It's not available,
But not only that, apparently it is easier to get it illegally on a weird bootleg shipped DVD version than any illegal passage, which is crazy to me. How can you not buy that? How can there not be some way?
It amazes me how fucked up they are when it comes to their DVDs releases. But let's go back to Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, because that had one of, I think, the best art styles of any cartoon series.
And it was done on Flash.
I was wondering if it was done on Flash earlier on the episode. I'm glad you're here.
Yes.
So that was all done on Flash?
Yeah.
Do you know, like, when did they start using Flash on these cartoons?
I remember, like, I don't remember, like, the first time they ever used the Flash cartoon, but, like, back like when they were when the early stages of Flash cartoons, it was like Mucha Lucha and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, but the thing is, with, like, Mucha Lucha, you can tell that's Flash.
Yeah.
This is... Flash Jump for Imaginary Friends, that is gorgeous, the animation on that.
It's so fluid and, like, smooth and it fits, it feels natural, and it's so bright and colourful, and it is just...
Yeah, and I love that the characters themselves don't have, like, outlines to them.
Mm-hmm.
That because it helps with the fluidity of it. And also it helps make them look cuddlier, I guess, which is the idea of imaginary friends. But yeah, and I absolutely love like the creativity that went into a lot of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
What was the big purple monster's name?
Oh, Blue. Eduardo?
Yeah, I knew you'd know it. Nice, yeah.
Blue's the blue one.
Yeah.
Wilt's the tall one.
Wilt,
yeah.
Coco, the...
Coco,
yeah.
You got that
the
one.
bird.
Let's see.
Cheese.
What was it? Mr. Harryman was the one in charge?
Yeah, Mr. Harryman.
Yeah, the rabbit.
Oh, okay, I'm shocked I got that one. Alright, let's see. Next up... Next up, this is one that we talked about in the last one. Hi, Puffy Yumi.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a cute show.
I really like that. I like it more than I really should do. Like, more than most other people do. But for some reason, I just really like it.
Yeah.
It's got personality, it's got charm, it's got kick-ass music.
Yeah. Which, once again, these are all Cartoon Network-specific series on this list, but the fact that Hi, Puffy Yumi is on there makes me realize that this is around the time that Teen Titans came out.
Yeah, and they did the theme song for Teen Titans.
They did the theme song for Teen Titans, that's why I remember.
Go.
That, to me, was
That's
one of those
all I remember about Teen Titans is that theme tune.
Teen Titans Go, to me, was one of those shows that, there were so many shows around that time in which the networks in America were going, hey, anime is successful, let's try and rip that off. This, to me, was the only one that actually did it well.
Until Avatar came out.
Until Avatar, yeah, this was the first one that did it well. Yeah, this is the first one that did it well. Teen Titans.
It's understanding what was good about anime. It's the serialized and building of the drama.
Serialized building of drama, but also when it came to like the animation and stuff, like they knew when to go chibi and how chibi to go. They knew when to do like a weird cartoony sight gag. I mean, there are jokes on the Teen Titans cartoon that make me laugh to this day. I mean, there was the episode where Raven had the book that she was trying to read in her room and kept getting interrupted. And there's a bit where Cyborg and Beast Boy knock on the door to interrupt her. And, like, they try to sell pitch her on this new, like, stink ball game they just invented. And it turns into, like, like an infomercial kind of ripoff. That makes me laugh to this day every time I see it.
What? We're here tonight with an exclusive offer.
A once-in-a-lifetime chance to get in on America's fastest-growing sports sensation.
The hot new game we just made up.
Stank Ball!
Woo! Want to be referee? Go away. But please?
Everybody loves a good game of Stank Ball.
And we need a referee to play the lightning round. No.
But yeah, they knew, and by the way, the guy who did Cyborg on there, that is one of my favorite voice actors from a superhero show I've ever seen. I mean, I thought that he did so much good bringing character to that role.
You got to say it's coming back then.
Yeah, it's coming back, but it's coming back as Teen Titans Go, which is going to be more of just like little shorts that are just humorous, which, hey, I've been enjoying the little humor.
Is it going to be in like chibi form like it has been in the shorts?
More chibi-ish. Not totally chibi, but yeah, they are even more cutesy looking than before. But yeah, and I really enjoyed it, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and I still, like, as I mentioned numerous times, DC has changed their whole universe around, so the Teen Titans never existed, and Beast Boy and Cyborg never had that friendship they had, so I love that I still have this series that I can look back at and go, that's what it's supposed to be like. I love seeing Beast Boy.
Yes, it's nice to see Starfire not be a whore.
Oh, God! Fuck
yay for DC and women!
Did you see that there was a comic done by this web series called Short Packed, in which they basically said, this is Amber. She when she was a kid, she loved Teen Titans. She loved Starfire because she was all about friendship and about protecting her friends. And she was cute and could be tough at the same time. Now that she's an adult with a disposable income, she decided to pick up DC Comics to see how she's treated. And then she just looks at it and goes, this is garbage. Amber will never buy a comic again in her life. But yes, alright, moving on. Let's see, Life and Times of Juniper Lee. You know what? That's one of those series that was like, it didn't last long at all. But actually, no, it had 40 episodes. It lasted longer than I thought.
It's like
but it was one of those series
It was just like one of those that went under the radar. It's like, I kind of think it like fell. I think it's like it came out around the same time. Like I think it came out like after Jake Long, American Dragon, and that's just a ripoff. Asian American with a talking dog who fights demons.
Which this was better than that Jake Long bullshit.
I have to admit, I did like the animation better in Juniper Lee. So
yeah.
I remember being advertised pretty much everywhere when it started, and then it literally just kind of stopped.
Yeah, it just kind of was like, where'd it go?
It's just like everywhere, and then just
vanished. Yeah.
As is the Cartoon Network way.
Yes.
Yes.
These next two, I've mentioned a lot that the current Cartoon Network lineup, it's got much better success rates with the shows that it has out simply because of the quality that they put out. When Cartoon Network started, all those shows that we mentioned had great quality to them. These next two shows to me kind of symbolize the kind of malaise period of Cartoon Network where they just were like, it's good. It's not bad. It's a thing. But next up we have Camp Lazlo and My Gym Partner's a Monkey.
I like Camp Lazlo.
I do like Camp Lazlo.
I will defend Camp Lazlo.
It's just sad because it's from the same guy who did Rocko's Modern Life, and it just falls short.
Yeah, it does. And Camp Lazlo, don't get me wrong, it's not bad. But it's like one of those in which I was like, you could have done so much more with this. Like, there's more promise here than what you do with it.
I really liked it, even if the actual finale that it got was unbelievably fucked up.
What happened in the finale?
Well, turns out Lumpus was actually an imposter the entire time. The real Scoutmaster's been, and Lumpus is a crazy person. The real Scoutmaster has been kidnapped and locked away in a cupboard the entire summer.
What?
And I was like, Lumpus is a crazy person who was there simply to try and have sex with the female camp's woman.
That's kind of bullshit.
It was fucked up.
That is
with
fucked
a capital
up.
F.
Yeah. Oh man, but like I said, I thought Camp Lazlo, it just didn't do enough with what it had the promise to do. But speaking of that, My Gym Partner's a Monkey. It's about a kid whose last name is Lion, so he accidentally gets sent to a school entirely for animals. You laugh, but there is a lot that a good animated series could have done with that premise. They did nothing with that.
Yeah.
I felt in this show.
Which is why I used derisive laughter there. It was not good.
They could, I mean, you put that in the hands of Gendy Tartakovsky, he could come with some really funny stuff to do with that concept. I mean, Dexter's Lab was nothing but a kid with a lab, a secret laboratory.
Hotel Transylvania had a rather iffy idea and concept, but of course they just turned around and came up with tons of great stuff.
Bad ideas they don't really exist. It's all how you do them.
It's
you can make any idea work.
You can make a good thing out of anything.
And a bad thing out of anything. So
which brings us very well into Ben 10.
Ben 10
to me, the first Ben 10 series, honestly, I thought, you know what, this is campy, but in a good, fun way. It's it's meant a lot for kids, but I can kind of get into the enjoyment of it because it's I understand how they're supposed to be doing this, and I understand the fun behind this. I mean, it's a lot like an 80s cartoon series. I think that this is a lot of fun for kids. And then they decide, hey, you know what? We're going to do a 5-year time skip, and now it's going to be serious. It's going to be,
angst.
It's got not a lot of angst, but it was more serious. And I was like, well, you just took out the only thing I liked about Ben 10. And
Ben 15.
Ben 15.
And it doesn't stop. They have 8 different spin-offs.
Yeah, they do have a new series right now, which the new series right now is weird. It's like Ben 10 Omnitrix or Omnimatrix, something like that. And basically Omniverse or something like that. And basically it's now 2 stories in each episode going back and forth where it's an untold tale from Ben 10 when he was 10 years old in the first series, and now a new episode of him at 15 in the current timeline.
Does it think it's being clever by doing this?
No, I think it's them just trying to go, well, I don't know what audience to get with this now. Like, it's like, okay, we see that there were good things about the original Ben 10, and we see that there are things that we like about the new Ben 10 reboot, and it's like they're trying to get both. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, is what it is.
Yeah. I have two younger cousins who are absolutely and utterly obsessed with Ben 10, which I think probably... they're like 7 and 5 years old, which I think pretty much just explain... like
yeah, that's the target demographic for it, yeah.
But,
on
the other hand, I can get them into pretty much anything else. So, but they'll always return to Ben 10, but they will like whatever else I put on, so maybe there's hope for them yet.
Yeah, I mean, at that age, you'll like whatever has flashy colors in front of you, I guess.
Yeah, let kids be kids. They don't have to like everything you have to like.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you don't have to like everything they like. So.
This next one, I don't remember at all. It was called Squirrel Boy?
I only saw, like, a few episodes. It was, it was from the same guy who did Duckman, but unfortunately, he can't really do children's, like younger humor as well as he could do with adult humor, so it fell flat. I also remember the squirrel being voiced by Richard Horvitz, who did Invader Zim, and that's really all I remember.
Oh, now I remember it!
Now you remember it.
I remember Squirrel Boy now. Oh, yeah. Oh, ew. I did not like that. No,
I'm sorry I brought up bad memories.
You've opened up repressed memories.
I remember there was a little redhead kid with glasses and a talking squirrel for a friend.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, alright. Next up, Class of 3000, which was done by Andre 3000 Brower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of making a new Outcast album.
I thought the show had a lot of potential.
It was like one of those, like, you can tell that Andre 3000, when he was younger, he really enjoyed cartoons. Because this was basically like a culmination of all those, like, it was like the Magic School Bus for the new age. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, there's one example that's, like, perfect. It's, like, not like Mary Poppins, not like, but I mean, there was, like, some cartoon long before I was even born, that was basically, like, you know, the magical helper person basically coming along, teaching kids lessons and stuff. I'm totally blanking on it, but yeah, you can tell this is in that same spirit of, like, you know, Magic School Bus, Mary Poppins, because it's like, yeah, the music instructor at the school is
Magical Negro.
I hate the fact that it did happen to be black.
Hold on. What just happened? I was just like going along listening, and then suddenly Callum says that. What's happening?
It's a stereotype in film that the black guy shows up and solves everyone's problems. So
with magic.
Instead it's a magical Negro. But
yeah. I know. I like that episode in South Park.
Yeah.
Chef is great.
But yeah.
I did like Class of 3000. Like the animation style was, you know, very like Al Hirschfeld's, you know, very, you know, big influence from that, and you know, I like how.
What else did Al Hirschfeld do? Because I don't know that name.
You know, Fantasia 2000,
oh,
Rhapsody in Blue.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that style. So he also did like, you know, for artwork for the New York Times and stuff. So, I researched on him during like middle school. So, that's why I know a lot. But anyways, moving on. So yeah, I did enjoy the fluid style of the animation, and I enjoy how they try to, like, you know, actually incorporate music, like different genres of music in, like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that show didn't. I remember it wasn't that it was getting bad ratings. There was like something actually came up.
Yes. The thing is, someone sued Andre for stealing his idea, so that's why. The show got canceled.
Which is a shame, because it's one of those shows that it was getting pretty good ratings, and I mean, the whole thing was about the importance of, like, music in school, and it's like, this is one of those shows that could have gotten a lot of kids interested in the music programs at school.
And then somebody had to be a dick.
Yeah, someone had to be a dick.
Oh, by the way, whoever sued Andre for saying he stole their idea, where is your idea? We want this back. Give it back to us.
Yeah, where is the idea? But yeah, okay, next up is Chowder, which this to me was the beginning of Cartoon Network hiring people who clearly had done acid and mushrooms in their life. Not that they were doing them now, but...
No, it's like the guy who did Chowder used to work on SpongeBob.
Once again, I'm pretty sure that they had done... SpongeBob's a weird fucking show when
Yes,
you think
it
about
is.
it. But I mean, it was, Chowder to me was totally a, what were those guys called? Not Sid and Marty Krofft, but they were around that time, but they did, like, HR Puffin stuff.
Oh, those, yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember their names. But yeah, it was that age in which it was basically everything was bright and imaginative, but imaginative in that shared people who have done drugs know what this looks like kind of a way. It's like when you just look at the people in the background of Chowder, they all kind of have that look. But Chowder to me was an incredibly fun series. It was one of the shows that like actually started to make me get back into Cartoon Network because I had been on and again, off again, watching it throughout these past years before Chowder. That was the first one which made me go, you know what, I can enjoy this on the same level as everybody else.
I've always been a bit iffy with Chowder. Like, sometimes I'll like it, sometimes I'll just not find it funny at all. I found it very hit and miss, although its episode where it completely demolished the fourth wall was pretty damn funny and clever. I think I was pretty damn clever.
Which one was that one?
One where they borrow money. But then they end up spending so much money, then they run out of money to animate the show, so they have to go...
I remember that one, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah,
that
that's
was fucking
extremely
brilliant.
clever.
The show runs out of money midway in the middle of it, so suddenly it cuts to all the actors sitting on stools in the recording booth, and they're still doing their characters, going, wait a minute, there's no more money for this. That's a terrible my normal voice is actually closer to Snizzles than what I just did there. The Rana. You've got what's his name? Who did Snitzel?
Oh, Johnny
DiMaggio. You've got Johnny DiMaggio sitting there doing his character, who is this big rock guy who always speaks in one word, Rada. And so, I mean, they're all just sitting there in their booths, just saying, "Well, we gotta do something.
Shirts
How about a car
characters,
wash?"
no less.
Yeah, exactly. And they go, "How about we do a car wash?" So they then cuts to all the actors doing a car wash until they raise the money to continue the episode. It's one of those shows that when they're smart, it was so fucking good. Let's see. Next up, Transformers Animated. I didn't care about that one. That wasn't the good one. Then let's see. Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack.
I like that one.
I could never.
It's a good one.
I could never get into that one, but it had a strong fan base, so it just wasn't for me.
I never saw it.
Yeah, so you
it's
guys.
good. It's worth it.
I don't
like
remember there being any adverts or any publicity for it at all in the UK. So that might be a reason for that.
Yeah, there was barely anything over here. But Callum, if you like Gravity Falls and you like crazy shit,
I have heard that
probably
Alex
like
Hirsch
it.
did time on that show, so I'm going to have to give it a go.
He did.
Yes, it's like that's one of. Now that I think about it, it's like that's what I like about like cartoons, like the people behind the cartoons these days. It's like they all know each other, or they knew each other, and they're friends, and it's like I think that is just like really cool, you know. So.
Yeah, and I love that on Gravity Falls, he got the guy who ran Misadventures of Flapjack to come on and be the evil guy on the show. The guy who used to be his boss. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, let's see. Next up is a collection of shows that basically it was kind of like Ben 10 had been successful, so they kind of went, well, this, action-y, old Saturday morning cartoon style has kind of come back.
Let's do as many versions of that as possible.
Well, it wasn't really that. It was more of like, what other stuff from like, kind of like with the Saturday morning cartoon action vibe can we get? So they had the Secret Saturdays, which I did not get into at all. Although this is going to be a very weird thing to compliment the show on, but it did have a mixed race couple on there, and at any time that I see that on television, I actually go, good for you. Good. Especially on a kid's show, because that's how you educate the next generation. Like, I mean, the fact that they have a mixed race couple as the protagonist. And
how Paranorman has a lead character who's gay.
Has a lead character who's gay, and they don't stop it at all to ever, go, well, wait a minute. But no, they just put it in there because, it's nothing important that the character's gay, and that's how it should be treated. It's that, it's just part of life. It's the exact same thing that was the one thing I could kind of applaud Secret Saturdays for. Aside from that, I was like, wow, this is kind of dumb.
I just felt like they were trying to take a Johnny Quest and make it more serious.
It was totally Johnny Quest is what the show was.
And they were trying to make it serious, but I like the campiness of Johnny Quest. Don't make it serious.
Once again, with Ben 10, that's what I liked about it, is that it had that campiness to it. The moment you take that away, it's like, I don't give a crap anymore. This one, I kind of dug the style of it, but once again, didn't really like the show. Generator Rex.
It's like I did like the animation style. I just didn't know what exactly the plot was.
Yeah, like the plot was basically there's some kind of an organism, a virus thing that keeps mutating people into big monsters, but it's like they didn't really do enough with it, I felt. But yeah, it's like I like the idea of the kid, like he gets big, he's part machine and can just create any machine his mind thinks of. Also, another thing to kind of point out along the same lines of Secret Saturdays, this is like the first like action-y show I can think of where the protagonist was Hispanic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I gotta give him applause for that too. It's like that is how you educate the next generation of people, is that you put them in there and you never stop to ever like bring it up. I mean, I really like the fact that Cartoon Network was actually trying to, be progressive at this point. I really dug that.
It's just a shame the shows they were attached to weren't particularly good.
Weren't all that great. But yeah, you know what? Good for them for trying. Let's see. And then the other one that was part of that big collection, sadly, this one went away. Symbionic Titan.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a shame.
I did not watch that show when it was on, just because I looked at it and went, this kind of looks a little bit too old style for me. But now it's on Toonami, which has replaced their Saturday Night Adult Swim block. I've been watching the reruns, and I'm like, fuck, why did I not watch this in the
Can you
first
tell
place?
It's Gendy Tartakovsky?
It is
Gendy Tartakovsky.
Oh, you totally can, but also, that tops Samurai Jack as far as great animated action sequences, and I don't mean the big robots beating each other up. Whenever they do just like kung fu action in there, it is almost like they had someone actually do it and then just animated frame for frame over them. It is gorgeous when they do that. But yeah, alright.
And so,
now
of course, it had to get cancelled.
Yeah.
It got canceled because it didn't sell toys, which is stupid. It's a robot. How do you not sell robots?
It's a fucking robot that
they didn't make
transforms.
any. And then also,
once again,
it
it
was
got
having
canceled.
falling out from as is. So.
Yeah. That was one of those that, man, if they could have made that as like, if Gendy Tartakovsky, thanks to his success in Hollywood now, if he could eventually bring that back, but just as like a web series, like kind of like what Pendleton Ward has done with Bravest Warriors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love it if he could do that. And speaking of that, that brings us into the present day Cartoon Network, and there's 3 shows that are their big shows at the moment, and they, to me, are some of the best stuff that Cartoon Network's ever put out. There's Adventure Time.
Woo! Adventure Time. Come grab your friends.
I just realized I wanted to start this episode off with going, hey, Michelle, what time is it? Fuck, I screwed that up.
I thought you were going to do the Cartoon Fridays theme for the intro. But...
Oh, I mean it's the intro music, but I actually say at the beginning. Anyway, whatever.
Oh, well.
I'll just edit it in. It'll be seamless.
I will. All right.
We'll edit this down. We'll put that in.
All right.
Hey, Michelle, what time is it?
Gee,
It sounds like the start of a bad porn movie.
It sounds like Christopher Walken at the start of a bad porn movie.
I've got
Michelle.
your pizzas right here.
It's porn time with Christopher Walken, the human.
What's Stephen Hawking doing with Christopher Walken?
I didn't know I could do that either.
I'd like to watch the Adventure Time on the television. Come on.
Oh, that slowly dawned on each of you what I was doing there.
Yes.
You have just made my month, sir.
Well, God's a very... I'm Russian now.
What sucks is I think I have to take... Nah, screw it. All right, I'd rather leave this in than starting the show off with, hey, Michelle, what time is it?
Yes.
All right.
It's a led to return of Aaron's Christopher Walken.
Okay, so anyway, Adventure Time, regular show, and The Amazing World of Gumball. Which regular show is mostly aimed at more of adults. Adventure Time is aimed at all ages because it's got multiple different layers on there. The Adventures of Gumball is it's totally safe for kids and there's no additional layers there, but the humor works for all ages.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, I mean, we were, for anybody, we mentioned this on, I don't know if it was on this episode or another, but on Spill.com, the head of that is, we actually met and hung out with the guy who runs that, and he's this, successful web designer.
Cool.
And we were talking with him, and he was like, you know what show I love? Adventures of Gumball. And I was like, Amazing World of Gumball. And I was like, seriously? Damn, all right. Because, that is a show that it does not get nearly as much attention as regular show in Adventure Time, but it is so freaking good.
I bet if it was on, Monday night, the regular show Adventure Time where it would get more recognition.
Well, wasn't it originally?
I think so, but they moved it because they had they thought they could make another block.
Yeah, they wanted to reproduce their Monday night block, which now just means they have a half hour of Gumball, which I'm fine with.
It could also be the fact they had endless adverts and preview teasers and that for it, which could have turned a lot of people off.
And the animation of it, The Amazing World of Gumball, is incredible.
I love that animation style.
Oh, yeah.
It's just 700 mishmashes style, but really should not work together, but do.
Yeah, because you've got basically every single background is an actual location that they just shoot. And normally, I hate that. But the reason it works is because Gumball and his family are all 2D animated drawing. Then his teacher is a 3D CGI character. Then there's another person in his class who's a stop-motion crinkled-up piece of paper. Then there is another person in the class who is an upside-down face that talks. There's
a giant 3D dinosaur.
Giant
called
3D
Tina.
dinosaur. Yes, named Tina. And, I mean, every single... And it's not like they all, even have, the same...
the janitor is like a puppet.
It's like a puppet, yeah. And it's not like they all even have, the same, design to them. Because, there's, Gumball's a cat, Tina's a dinosaur... Gumball's crush is a peanut with antlers. I'm assuming it's a peanut shell.
Fish.
Not even really a fish. I gotta give him credit for that, because if you actually look up what Darwin is, it's not his brother. It's a pet goldfish they had that evolved into a person.
Thanks, Darwin.
Yeah, exactly.
He grew legs.
But yeah, and that is one of those shows
Clearly
that, once
not
again,
a brain.
every joke in there is safe for kids, and it can be understood by kids, but the timing of it is the same timing as classic age Simpsons or any of those other animated series that were really great.
I remember the other day there was an episode on the one where they have a dare, they were going to have a lazy off with the dad. And there's an entire bit in the middle where they just go about ruining some poor guy's life.
Yes.
It's systematic one by one, and then they just come back as if nothing happened, and as it has no bearing on the rest of the episode and that. That is...
my favorite episode has to be the one where they had to return the DVD to the rental place. Alligators on a train, and they end up breaking the DVD, so they try and figure out ways to get around it. So they eventually just decide to film themselves making their own alligators on a train.
So it's a BKV wine reference in a kids show.
Yeah, and the fact that this is the type of humor that they do. They reproduce the alligators on a train thing with themselves to start, and then the credits are by Gumball and Darwin.
The Wattersons. It's about time you showed up. I assume you have my money?
Better than that, Larry. We got the DVD.
I hope you don't mind if I make sure it's real. Last time it was a piece of cardboard.
Go for it. Alligator on a train.
Oh no! There's alligators on this train! Thank goodness we got all the alligators off this train!
Thank you so much for saving us from all the alligators on this train.
Alligators off this train! Alligators off this train!
This had better be a joke.
Aw, man. What gave it away?
Dude, it's 5 seconds long and every name in the credits is one of you two.
I told you we should have put some other people on the credits. What, and let them have all the glory?
That's the kind of humor that it is. But yeah, let's go to Adventure
Gumball.
Yeah.
So my favorite episode of Gumball is when their dad gets a job as a pizza delivery.
That is gorgeous, that episode.
It's not only is the animation amazing, but the jokes were great. They were delivering a pizza to a pizza family, so they were like, "Oh, come over here! Look what the stork brought us!" And they dropped the pizza, and you just see the pizza family just stunned and horrified that they dropped this pizza pie that was supposed to be their baby.
It is so freaking weird, that one. But yeah, and his dad getting a job, because his dad's the laziest person around. When his dad gets a job, it breaks the universe. So you start seeing time and space crack and just be destroyed. And they have every single one of the characters go through like 9 different animation steps all in the blink of an eye. I mean, that's one of those ones in which I have to get it on DVD just so I can pause at every single frame of animation in it.
So you're gonna buy Cartoon Network's terrible 9 random episodes jumbled together DVD?
No, I'm gonna wait for the actual DVD, which they actually did that with Gumball, because that's the thing about Gumball. The ratings on it are good, but not so good that they thought we can pull that bullshit of putting out those. So when they released Gumball, they actually released the entire first season. So yeah, that's one of those. Yeah, it is. Gumball is one of those in the sweet spot for me, because it's one of those that it gets good enough ratings to survive, not good enough ratings that they'll try bullshit like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but yeah, speaking of ones that are getting ratings that they pull bullshit on, Adventure Time. Which, Adventure Time is one of those that, like I said, you know, I'm sorry, that's a dude who's done acid, but...
I think there's one important question about Adventure Time, and it's which version of the theme tune do you prefer? Is it the original one or the one they actually use?
Oh, what was the original one?
Oh, you mean for the pilot episode?
Yes.
I honestly don't know. It's like for the pilot episode, it was like, you know, it was like actual like adults, so it was kind of more serious, which would make it, you know, ironic and funny. So, but I like the fact that they actually got the voice actor for Finn to sing the theme song. So.
Oh, I didn't know that was him.
I didn't know that.
I like the earnestness of the theme song.
I thought it was a girl doing it, honestly.
Shame on you, Aaron.
But yeah, I love that. I mean, hey, when the show started off, he was, you know, like 12, so I mean, he was supposed to sound like that. But the thing that I love about Adventure Time is that it is a show that they know when to drop the floor out from underneath you, because there were so many episodes, like in the second season, in which I was watching it going, this is good, I'm enjoying this is fun, and then in like the last 5 seconds, they pull something that makes you go, holy fuck! I mean, the Christmas episode they did with the Ice King, for anybody who hasn't seen it, this is a spoiler alert, but the Ice King is this annoying, like, wizard guy who's just a big joke, and he's just a lonely old guy who wants to kidnap princesses, but he's bad at it. And they find a bunch of VHS tapes in the Ice King's garbage dump, so they decide to start watching them to see if he has any secrets.
And then they're all frat boys that get murdered by ghosts.
No. Although, damn, that does match up very well. But he's referencing VHS for anyone who doesn't know.
It's the alternate ending.
No,
hidden away on the DVD.
But no, on the episode, it's nothing but each cassette tape has nothing on it, but the Ice King is afraid they'll discover his secret. And they finally get to the last VHS tape, and I'm like, okay, this is going to end up being nothing but something stupid. Alright, whatever. They pop it in, and it's him.
I can feel. I'm just stating my anticipation here. This is going to go bad real fast.
Yeah, they put in the final episode, in the final disc, and it's some like human who doesn't even look like the Ice King, calling himself Simon, back in the world when humans existed on this planet. Because in this cartoon, Finn is the only person alive, and
Finn is the only human.
Finn is the only human alive, and as you watch the show, you slowly realize, oh, this is Earth, a post-apocalyptic Earth, nonetheless. Like, clearly something went down. And, like, you slowly start seeing, like, each entry in this last cassette tape, it's him talking about finding this crown, and he puts it on, and he starts hearing voices, and, like, his skin starts turning blue, and him, like, screaming about how he's losing his mind, and about how everyone has died around him, but he can't age, and, like, he's growing a big white beard, and slowly you go, holy fuck, that was the origin of the Ice King, and it was 1,000 times darker than anything I imagined they'd pull.
That's amazing.
And then it got worse with Remember Me.
Oh, yeah, that was sad. Yeah, I don't know if that one's come to print yet, so I won't spoil that one. Oh, what? Have you seen that one?
No, but I mean, like, it's just like, how on earth did they get away with that?
Yeah, it is.
That is
But that's what makes it. I know, but that's what makes it such an interesting cartoon. It's like at first it's like this innocent, fun fantasy world, and then you realize, oh, this is Earth. We humans no longer exist except for Finn. This is what happened afterwards, and that's how this character came to be, and how that came to be, and so on and so forth. And it's like each episode is like a puzzle piece, and you start putting it together and seeing the big picture.
They haven't suddenly switched it into being a dark drama at any point, have they?
No, but they did do like a 2-part episode that was pretty fucking dark. In which basically Finn makes a wish in which the Lich King never existed. But then it turns out the Lich King is the whole reason why the world is the way it is. So now Finn is in like some other alternate horrible universe that he's trapped in, and stuff starts going real bad for him.
Definitely.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. As far as the humor of the show goes, Finn is like a 13-year-old kid, and it's a lot of like that kind of 13-year-old mentality, but not in like talking down to you kind of way that makes fun of that 13-year-old mentality while still having that like young spirit of adventure. I mean, like, every single insult that they ever yell out on the show is the kind of thing that a 13-year-old would think up when he's just trying to make up a random insult. It's that, and I mean, but they capture it so well. I love that. And let's get into the next one, regular show, because I know Jackson really wants to talk about this.
I love regular show so much.
Oh shit, I was just reading this.
Coffee.
Cartoon Network has apparently...
Send them to the moon.
Apparently, 88 episodes have already been shown of regular show, and Cartoon Network has 120 on order.
Whoa.
That show's never ending, is it?
No, and
it's pretty regular.
This is a show...
like, it will just get cancelled, and there'll still be episodes for years to come.
And this is a show that, they do the little 15-minute increments, but they really have never had a break. This is a show that their longest break is maybe a month.
And regular show.
Yeah, they worked their ass off on this. In fact, we were at Comic-Con last year in which Pendleton Ward, the guy who did Adventure Time, and these guys who do regular shows,
J.G.
Quintel, they were there, and some guy got up to ask them a question and said, okay, seriously, how much pot do you guys smoke on a day? And both of them just look offended, and J.G. Quintel said, none! We have a show to put out, man! We have work to do.
We're too busy taking acid to do pie.
I mean, a regular show did come from a short that he made in college, which was all about some guy at a convenience store on an acid trip.
That is such a great short as well.
Yes, it is.
But yeah, so it all came from that. So, like I said, you can tell that Pendleton Ward and J.G. Quintel used to do tons of drugs, but they clearly don't anymore because they're working their ass off on these shows. Especially J.G. Quintel. It amazes me he gets this much stuff done.
I am just amazed and happy that Cartoon Network keep ordering this much. Because again, when it gets cancelled, we will still have a good 3 or 4, 2 or 3 years of worth of episodes to get through. Essentially, it's the American Dad of kids shows. In terms of a backlog.
Yes. Well, with American Dad, they have a backlog because Fox orders them and then doesn't show them. Cartoon Network orders them and then shows them the moment they go on. It's like the
finished.
South
Okay,
Park.
on TV now.
Yeah, it's like the South Park of that. It's like you guys got 1 week to make an episode, except the South Park gets 6-month-long breaks. But yeah, regular show. Why don't you guys talk about that one more?
Why? You don't want to talk about it?
Oh no, I like regular show, but I've been dominating this a lot, and I know this is one that Jackson and you both really particularly enjoy. So
yeah, you saw the pilot episode that inspired it. Was it AM and the PM?
AM and the PM.
AM and the PM. That's such a great pun as well. AM and the PM. It kind of shows that it's got this really clever writing that it has no right to have. Not even just as a cartoon. Like, its style of humor is really low key and just two people chatting about nothing in this craziest of
It
worlds.
is the Seinfeld of animated kids shows.
I was wondering if you saw his other short, the Man from Lollipop Land, where that's where you find that's where Pops originally came from.
How amazing is that?
Well, it's basically it's Pops, and he's he's like the ambassador of Lollyland, so he comes to the he's at a diner in, I'm guessing, somewhere in the United States, and he leaves a tip of lollipops, and the waiter's like, what the hell is this shit? So he's like, I assure you, this is a really good tip. That's a triple butterscotch ripper. So he's like, and he's like trying to persuade them that he's leaving a good tip, but they don't use lollipops as currency, so they think he thinks they're ripping him off. So he thrown out of the restaurant, and then like he goes to his car, and apparently his the driver's name is Benson, but you never see his face, and his car just flies off. So.
Your Pop's
Yeah, let's
impression that way
let's
is
tell
amazing.
people about like what the basically what the idea of the show is. It's two guys, Mordecai and Rigby. One is a blue jay, and the other is a raccoon, who work at this park run by Benson, who is a gumball machine, and who is basically the boss from every '80s show. Except that they decide because
With the hair
every line
trigger
off is-
temper and the continued
yeah,
effects of
huge
firing.
temper. Basically, every line of dialogue he has is "You're fired."
But way more angry.
But wait, yeah, I can't do that without waking up my neighbors. Fired!
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're fired!
But yeah, but they do give him heart too, and the thing is,
the episodes where they go deep into Benson are so good.
they're so good. And also, it's not like it's not like in those '80s shows where like Mordecai and Rigby are working hard, but Benson's just being mean. No, Mordecai and Rigby are dumbasses who should be fired.
But they work really hard on trying not to do work.
Yes. And then
they're
you've
both
got
as bad as each
Skips,
other as well.
And then you've got like Skips, who's the groundskeeper, and he's like supposed to be the old ancient. He's a gorilla, a white
Yeti.
gorilla. That's Yeti.
Yes.
Yeti who skips everywhere.
That's even better.
And he's supposed to be like the old shaman guy, the guy who like teaches them the lesson, except that he's immortal and like knows magic and about every form of mysticism out there. That is
It's like that early episode where they have to perform this ritual on Skips and then they destroy the cake, which sends him to some kind of like death world where they're collecting his soul or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you've got Muscle Man, who basically is some goblin-looking guy. Basically, he's
And actually wants to be a stand-up comic, but is terrible.
You know
at
who else is some goblin-looking guy, right?
My mom.
My mom.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's his running gag, and that running gag should have gotten old so long ago.
It's
and
not.
It
It is
hasn't.
not at all.
And then
Just the
there's
episode
so many...
where he tries to make it as a stand-up comic when he gets fired is just like.
Oh, that's a good one. But yeah, there's
You know who
so
else
many...
got fired?
My mom.
My mom.
But yeah, there's so many great like supporting
High Five
characters
Ghost.
in this. High Five
yes.
Ghost, yeah, Muscle Man's only real friend on the show. High Five Ghost. And yeah, there's so many other characters that just pop up, like the girls that Mordecai and Rigby have crushes on, who work at the diner. Which I love that the fact that they actually slowly progress their relationships. I do love that.
Margaret
I do too.
Margaret
But yeah,
and who's the one?
But
Margaret and Eileen.
Margaret
That's
and Eileen.
it.
And I love that basically the concept behind every episode is it starts off like any regular kind of sitcom where it's just some basic plot that has nothing really to do with anything.
And then weird
then
stuff
it
like The
slowly-
Simpsons.
Yeah, and then it slowly turns into the most sci-fi, fantasy-filled, outrageous thing out there. Like, there's
And
one in
oftentimes
which
I don't
they...
even bother to explain the weirdness, it just happens.
Yeah!
They're trying.
Like
There's
the
an
time they
episode
find
where
me
they're trying to
talking
queue up
hot
to get.
dogs.
They're trying to queue up to get a donut or a coffee, and then 5 minutes later, they've conned their way into being astronauts.
Yes.
And
When
it's
we have
like-
to stop a particle from blowing up the world.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there was an episode that we just saw recently, which was about them wanting to be judges at a pie contest, but because they didn't want to lie to anyone, one of the pies came to life and started eating all the people there. And another thing to point out about them is that this is a series that does what The Simpsons do. They have a Treehouse of Terror, in which every Halloween they put out 3 little shorts all in one episode. And they're good. And one thing that I do love about what the show's done recently is they tried to add a new character, which is something I typically hate when a show does. And they did it in, like, a really shitty way, kind of, in which they were, like, trying to force this new character down our throats. And they tried really hard to force it down our throats for, like, 3 episodes. And then you can tell the people making the show just went, I fucking hate this character. Because now he never pops up unless someone is yelling at him. And he almost never talks.
Who is it?
It's this new goat guy.
Thompson,
who's an intern.
Thomas, not Thompson.
Thomas. And he's an intern. And you can tell they were trying to force him down your throats because in the first couple episodes, not only does he save the day, but they kept saying his name every, 10 seconds. Like, they never refer to him as you. They always refer to him as Thomas.
So it's like the Poochie of,
Yeah, he was. He was the Poochie of regular show. But you can very clearly tell they've gotten sick of him, but they can't just get rid of him, because now he only appears, in their Christmas episode this year. he's there in the very beginning, but his head is stuck in the banister, so he can't go on the adventure with them. Or, like, in another episode they basically just said, Thompson, clean up this mess. Oh, and that was it for him. So it's clear that they got sick of him real fast.
So he's now turned into Bob
Pretty so much. It's like he's an intern then.
Yeah, he's the intern. Yeah. But yeah, when he first showed up, he was like the cool guy who everybody loved and wanted to be around. And
only because he saved the park.
He saved the park, and then the next episode after that, Muscle Man and him were like good friends trying to like prank Mordecai and Rigby. And then after that, it was like, Thompson, we hate you now.
It's like, you're done. We're done with you.
Yeah. God.
Your novelty has faded.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, those are some great shows. There's a lot that we didn't really mention simply because they're kind of, like, either they didn't bear mentioning or because they kind of fit into subcategories. They weren't actual shows made by Cartoon Network. Like, the Thundercats cartoon that they rebooted, which was incredibly good, actually. It was made by half the guys who did the Avatar cartoon, by Avatar The Last Airbender. And you can tell, because, like, every episode, they get halfway to perfect, and then they kind of drop the ball at the end. But then their second season, they finally figured it out, and of course they got canceled at the end of the second season. But, yeah, that's how it tends to go. Let's see, then of course, we should also mention, we can't just mention the good, we have to mention, like, when they basically, Cartoon Network, like many people, got hard up for cash, and they had to then go, wow, reality TV is really cheap to do. So,
no, we're not talking about this. We're talking about Cartoon Network, so no live action. No,
right.
moving.
Well, can we have Michelle's rant about CNV, if nothing else?
Shit, what other things? Like, and then there's tons that they exported in from Europe.
Challenge Showdown?
Challenge Showdown was not
it was,
part... Yeah,
it was on Kids WB originally.
Yeah,
so.
Kids
in the
WB,
UK it was on Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although we did get Chop Socky Chucks, which was about Chooks, which was about Canadian, which was.
I remember that being excited because it had Aardman's name attached to it, and then I watched it and I was like, ew.
That kind of like speaking of like Canadian cartoons, like I remember like there was like a Canada. Do you remember that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it's like they had like the segment where they showed like. Cartoon shorts from Canada. It was like an hour or like an hour and a half long, and it would like be on at night, and it would just.
Yeah, that was the great thing about Cartoon Network in its early days, that it would try and do like some educational stuff, like by specifically focusing on certain stuff. Like with that, they did the Tex Avery show, which was all just a salute to Tex Avery, and then my favorite was Toonheads, in which every single episode would have a theme to it, and it would like show 3 shorts that had to do with that theme, but they would have like somebody giving you interesting facts about it. Like they had an entire episode dedicated to World War II cartoons. And like they would show you like Bugs Bunny and Hitler kind of cartoons.
I was gonna say, how much of them were probably like blacked out?
They did not show the really racist things, but they did show like little bits of some of the really racist ones and mention how racist they were.
So Band 13 then.
Nah. Let's see. Any other ones of really interest? I mean, we're not going to talk about Annoying Orange. We talked about.
Yeah, I was going to say, how bad is the Annoying Orange? Is it like a stretched out version of the web show? Because the web show's awful.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta also mention the new Looney Tunes show. I was not expecting to like that, but I actually
like it.
did.
I know. I was shocked I liked it.
Yeah, it is
too.
good. I mean, it's different from like the original Looney Tunes short, but it.
You don't say.
Yes, but like just because it's different doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah, it's basically them just taking every single one of these Looney Tunes cartoon characters and saying, what if we did just kind of like a sitcom where they all exist within the same world and they're all neighbors or they're roommates and they basically get into hijinks each week. And it's really good. And they actually made Lola Bunny like good from that
like, that's the thing.
stupid Space Jam cartoon.
The first time it was announced, like I heard there's a Looney Tunes show, but I saw it was a sitcom. I was like, fuck you. Then one day I just randomly like caught the episode with in which Daffy goes to Granny and the World War II flashbacks, which was also one where
that one was pretty good.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty
The one where Bugs has to go on a load of dates with Lola, who acts like the most insufferable date ever. I thought, this is really good. This has no right to be this good.
Yes. Let's see. Some of the ones that they currently have going on, the Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, which everybody has been telling me that one is freaking great. I think it's okay. I don't see why everyone thinks that's amazing, but I do think it's okay. I really like the animation on it. That's all I got. Let's see, and then of course there's the new Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon
That no one likes.
There was, what was the other one that I really wanted to talk about? There's the new How to Train Your Dragon cartoon.
It's good. I mean,
because if something's popular with DreamWorks, you make a cartoon series out of it.
Yes, but I was kind of expecting
money.
Yeah, but I was kind of expecting it to be on Nickelodeon since they have the
Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, and the Penguins of Madagascar. So I was expecting it to be on there. It's like,
no,
so
they don't want to oversaturate too much.
Yeah,
I guess, but it's just kind of weird how they fork it over to a different company so easily. I guess.
Yeah, it is. But well. We pretty much now, I mean, I did not expect us to go through pretty much every single show that's been out there, but, I mean, that's real, I mean...
You didn't mention whatever happened to Robot Jones.
What, Robot Jones?
Oh, the irony.
Whatever did happen to Robot Jones?
I don't know.
It got cancelled, that's what.
Yeah. And then they tried to bring it back with Robot Boy. Was that the same?
No, that's
Robot
not...
Boy was different. You're right,
Very
Robot Boy was different.
Robot Boy was very different. Had an extreme formula and had a character who sounded like Cartman.
Oh, totally. That was a complete ripoff.
A really annoying version of Cartman.
Let's go ahead and end before we start talking about all this stuff about Cartoon Network that we hate. Level up. All right, sorry.
No.
Okay. All right.
Just do not go into Johnny Test, please.
I like Johnny Test to a degree.
I want to tell him.
We should probably stop now.
Michelle will fucking
before me and
rip
Michelle
in.
come to blows over Johnny Test and I have a 20-minute wank fest over Kids Next Door. We should probably stop now.
Yeah.
Stop before you Johnny Test my patience.
Michelle will beat the shit out of somebody for liking Johnny Test.
I'm terrified that she's gonna hunt me down. Like, she'll find my address, she'll hunt me down and kill me.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. It was great to be here.
Yes. She won't hunt you down, but she will change your animated self for our little title cards. Very great.
Wait, I'm gonna look like a turd now.
And I'm gonna drop a huge anvil on you.
All right. I want to thank Jackson and Callum for joining us over across the pond, and then of course we have Michelle here. And I'm Aaron, and this was our quote-unquote mini-sode. I'll probably head this down to something. And before I go, Michelle, what time was it?
It was supposed to be Adventure Time.
But then it was Johnny Test time.
That was a terrible ending.
Yes, it was.
Come on, try
Or like
harder.
Johnny Testicles.
That was
Because that sucks balls! We'll end it there.
Join in, guys. We're not in until we all join in. They dropped off the call. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, bye, doggies.